got a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your head. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on, hold on. Let me pull you out. That bell bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toadstool Sports, Friday, August 28th. We lost the play on the show yesterday. San Francisco, Arizona, the over did not hit. The game landed 7. It was really low scoring, though. San Francisco put up a bunch of runs in the 8th inning, and it's like, don't even tease me, man. You know, when you know you're going to get a loss on it, like, why would you make it even close? You know, like, don't pretend like you're going to actually get this thing to go over. It's so bad. And at that point, you also know San Francisco is not going to bat in the 9th inning. So that's another problem where I really wasn't sure that San Francisco was going to win that game. They definitely did. But yeah, Arizona didn't put up their end of the offense at all, which is not really what I expected. So whatever. You're not going to win every game. Run a decent run this week anyway. We'll move on to today. I'm going to have a couple of baseball plays here, and I will have a WNBA play. Yeah. All right. Let's get into this crap here. Chris Sale was very good, although I will say Atlanta won every game in that series by 1 run. The first 2 games, they got extremely lucky with the Dodgers stranding guys on base and in scoring position all over the place at the end of those 2 games. Yeah, whatever. The Red Sox swept the Dodgers in L.A. Like, do you think the Red Sox are going to win the World Series? There's absolutely no way. So L.A. is just like, they're on cruise control right now. Like, they're going to win the World Series. L.A. is. Like, I don't even think, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess, again, like I said, I think Milwaukee has the best chance to take them out. No, absolutely not. The Red Sox, they have 0 chance. 0. Nope, not happening. The team doesn't have enough experience on it or experience together. The manager doesn't have experience. No, not happening. Cincinnati at the Cubs here. We have an afternoon Wrigley game here. First look at this, I'm like, oh my God, this pitching matchup is bad. So maybe first instinct is the way to go here, which would be to look at the over. The Cubs are returning home from a road trip, and I talk about that when a team has been on the road for a week plus, and now they're coming back home. I think that's bad. They have to get back to home life, whatever. It can be a distraction. I don't think they're going to pay that much attention to the last place Reds here. And maybe the Reds will have a reason to get up for this because the Reds are playing one of their divisional foes and might want to try to, just win the game, play spoiler, whatever. Reds finally broke a losing streak last time out, a 3-game losing streak. They beat the Giants 2 nights ago. So both teams were off yesterday, so we have rest on both sides here. Both teams are actually coming back from the Pacific time zone, I think, or I guess the Cubs were in Arizona last, but yeah, both teams have kind of a similar travel spot here. The Cubs definitely have the better team, the better bullpen, and the better offense. Cubs are number 11 in bullpen whip. The Reds are 25th. Cubs are number 1 in offense, and the Reds are 25th in OPS. So some pretty big gaps there. But, again, I don't like the Cubs starting pitcher here. I don't like the Reds pitcher at all either. Rhett Lauder is pitching for the Reds. Bad stuff here. 5.13 ERA, 1.47 whip. 6.92 road ERA, really bad. So Lauder, his home road splits are very much against him on the road here. He's way worse on the road. He's been somewhat okay over the last month or so. Nothing really spectacular, though. Doesn't strike out a lot of guys at all. His hit rate is too high on the season. His walk rate is mediocre. His strikeout rate is very low. So strikeout walk ratio below 2, not good. Strikeout per 9 at 7, not really that good either. Lauder, though, his numbers against the Cubs, believe it or not, quite good, even though it's not a huge sample, 26 at-bats. Most of their hitters have faced him, and he's held them to a 154 average, 603 OPS. The only extra base hit is a home run from Conforto. 4 strikeouts, 7 walks, though. That's obviously a bad ratio. Do I trust Lauder? No, but he does have good matchup numbers here. I really don't trust him on the road, though. David Peterson is pitching for the Cubs. I don't think he's good either. 5.17 ERA, 1.5 whip is really bad. Although remember, a lot of that was with the Mets, and he has been better since being traded to the Cubs. He's been bad as a home pitcher, though. 6.16 ERA at home. His home struggles have somewhat continued with the Cubs. He had one really bad outing, though. His first outing with the Cubs at home was really bad, and then he's actually been pretty good in the other ones. He is pitching pretty well right now, though. He's had a good month of August, good command numbers here. Had one shortened start for some reason, but he hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any of his starts, going all the way back to that one bad start that he had against St. Louis right after joining the Cubs. He still has pretty bad numbers here, though. His hit rate is too high on the season. His walk rate is okay at best. His strikeout rate is, I guess, okay. Strikeout walk ratio is around 2, which is really not good. Strikeout per 9 is below 8, which is fine, but nothing spectacular at all there. Peterson against the Reds, not good. 85 at bats here, 376 average, 924 OPS, 19-8 strikeout walk ratio. So Peterson does not have good matchup numbers there. Both pitchers are in the wrong side of their home road splits here. I think the 2 ways to play this game are either to take the Reds' first 5, even though, do you really want to trust Rhett Lauder, though? I don't know, but the money does seem to agree with this. And remember, it is the Cubs returning home from a road trip, and Lauder has the better matchup numbers. So there are some indicators that the Reds are possibly one of the right ways to play this game. 89% of the tickets, 65% of the cash on the Cubs. The money agrees with this. The Cubs are a big favorite. They dropped from minus 200 down into the minus 180s. So some of the money is basically just saying, well, we think there's value here on the Reds. If you're going to do it, I would say play like the run line in the first 5 and just focus on Lauder, possibly being able to outpitch Peterson there. Take the half run with the Reds in the first 5. Possibly the better way to play this game is to just take it over, though. Those would be my 2 leans in this game, though, to take the Reds' first 5 run line or to play the over. The total looks like it's mostly 8.5 out there, so you might be able to get it below that key number of 9. It is going up, though. There is apparently money coming in on the over here. 82% of tickets, 87% of the cash on the over. Some books will have the 8.5 juiced, like minus 120 on the over. That's probably what I would do, like get it below that key number of 9 at least. Both pitchers, I think, suck, so that's basically the reason why I'm just fading both starting pitchers. They're in the bad of their home road splits. I think it makes sense. And you have one bad bullpen here, too, the Reds. But the bullpens are rested because the teams didn't play yesterday. And, a lot of times I look towards unders after rest, which maybe I should have... well, no, there wasn't any rest factored into the game yesterday. I don't know what I'm saying. But when there is rest... like the hitting could cool off a little bit and you get rested bullpens. So... the unders make a little bit more sense sometimes. And the Chicago spot there, the hitters might be thrown off a little bit by the return home spot. So there are some things that give me some pause on all of that. But yeah, those would be my opinions on that game. Dodgers at Detroit. Detroit has a rest advantage here. Detroit's staying at home and they did not play yesterday. You might think the Dodgers should bounce back here because they just got swept. But I don't know, man. I mean, they played yesterday, so they have a rest disadvantage. They have to travel, whereas Detroit does not. So there are definitely some advantages to Detroit here. And motivation, probably should be on Detroit's side here too because they're still trying to make the playoffs, if you think that they still are. Dodgers are kind of on cruise control right now, man, I think. The Dodgers don't really have that good of a bullpen. They used one guy out of it yesterday. Of course, Detroit was off. Dodgers are ranked 12th. Tigers 14th. But I think Detroit has the better bullpen. Their ERA is a bit better than the Dodgers, and the whip isn't that far off. Dodgers are the better offense. They're number 2 offensively, and they are good on the road. Detroit is, where are they? 16th, tied with Baltimore and Kansas City. So, yeah, Dodgers definitely have the better offense. And then, of course, the Dodgers do have a huge pitching edge here, though, because Tarek Skubal is pitching, and he might get up for this because you know what this is. He's pitching against his former team for the first time. So the team that just got rid of him, Skubal gets to play against them. He's probably going to get a little bit extra motivated for this game. And he's had a good season, 2.91 ERA, 0.95 whip. He's been better on the road, 2.15 road ERA. However, he's pitching in his former home, and at home he was a little bit worse, 3.53 home ERA, so maybe he's not going to pitch as well in this stadium. I don't know. It's weird, like looking at his home numbers that came in this stadium, but now he's a road pitcher in this stadium, so what does that mean? I don't know. But he is pitching well right now for the Dodgers. He's basically been good since they got him. All of his starts have been good, so there's nothing to really complain about here. He's got a low hit rate, low walk rate, high strikeout rate. All these numbers are good. Strikeout per 9, or a strikeout walk ratio, is 7, which is quite high, really high, and almost an 11 strikeout per 9, so that's also really good. Skubal against Detroit. They're not going to have that many hitters who have faced him because he spent his whole career there. The guys that have faced him actually have hit him well, though, which is Baez, Jokes, and Torres. They have 15 at-bats against him. They have a 467 average, 1246 OPS against him, 2 strikeouts and 3 walks. All the walks are Torres. Does that mean Skubal's going to pitch poorly here? No. I don't think he will, but there are some indicators that maybe it's not the best matchup for him, and maybe not the best location for him, although he might get extra excited for this. And on the other side, Drew Anderson is listed as the starter for Detroit, so this is basically a bullpen-ish game for them. Anderson is mediocre, 4.09 ERA, 1.29 whip. He was in the bullpen for most of the year. He is good at home, though, 3.19 home ERA. And since he's been kind of starting, they're kind of letting him go a little bit deeper. He's pitching pretty efficiently. They're letting him go like 70, 75 pitches, and he's getting through 5 innings now in some of these outings. So he's not pitching that badly. So he goes out there and he's kind of serviceable, and he's not really killing them right now. He's going up against a really good Dodger offense here, though. They only have 3 guys who have faced him. They're only a combined 1 for 3 off him. Freeman has the only hit with a double. 1 strikeout here from Ohtani. No walks. Not a huge sample. There's no huge sample to look at here. Dodgers are a massive favorite, though. By the way, I think if you're going to play this game, I would say pick Skubal must start, but don't pick a starter for Detroit because they might put an opener in front of Anderson or something like that. Like Anderson will probably get the bulk of the workload, but we don't know. I don't think we know absolutely that he's going to start this game. I think he probably will, though. Minus 200 is around where the price is for LA here. Way too heavy of a price, especially with a team that, you're getting taxed for that, right? It's the Dodgers with Skubal on the mound. You know that line is going to be juiced up. 84% of the tickets, 66% of the cash on LA, and they don't have the rest advantage here, like I said. So it sounds maybe kind of crazy, but I don't know, man. I think the way to play this game is maybe to take a shot with the Tigers. I would say full game, take them plus the 1.5 runs. You probably get a decent price on that. If they're losing, they'll get to bat in the 9th inning and maybe be able to pull within that number if they're behind. I think Detroit might have the bullpen edge here, even though the Dodgers only used 1 guy out of the bullpen yesterday. But yeah, I think that is what I would do if I was going to play this game. I would play Detroit plus the 1.5 on the run line there. The total's low. It's at 7.5, so odds makers think it's going to be a low-scoring game. And when it's a low-scoring game, that means the underdog has a better chance to hang around. And the market read seems to be indicating towards Detroit. The money seems to kind of be indicating towards an under. with more of the ticket percentage on the over here. I don't know about that. I don't really have a great feel for the total there. I mean, it's possible, I guess. I mean, you have two okay bullpens here. The pitching setup might actually not be horrible. Well, obviously, I don't think Scooble is going to be that bad. But, yeah, I mean, I still think the better way to play it is to play the situation in that one. Because, to me, it doesn't seem – I mean, it looks like on the surface there's a huge matchup edge there. But the fact the price is so high and given what the situation is, yeah, I think Detroit run line might make sense there. All right, Miami and Washington. Washington played yesterday, and they split the series with the Rockies. They're staying at home, and the Marlins have a rest advantage here. Marlins did not play yesterday. They're starting a road trip here, and I talk about that. When a team starts a road trip, they usually are focused, so it's a better spot for Miami here. However, Washington just got swept in Miami before that Rockies series, so Washington might show up for this because it's a little bit of quick revenge or what have you here. Although Miami might have more motivation because they're still kind of fighting for a playoff spot and Washington isn't. So there might be more motivation from Miami for that reason. But again, because Washington just got swept by them, that might motivate them a little bit. However, if you look at the starting pitching, it's like pretty obvious Miami has the better starting pitcher here, and that's a major part of the reason why Miami's favored like this on the road and maybe favored too heavily. But they got the rest advantage here, which is probably also factoring in. Washington, not only is their bullpen not good, but they've used a lot of guys over the last couple of days. They used 4 guys yesterday. This is a used bullpen right now, so they definitely are at a bullpen disadvantage here. Washington, 26th in bullpen. Miami is 6th, although I don't think they're that good, but still, there is a pretty big bullpen edge for Miami here. Miami offensively is 11th, and Washington is 3rd. So Washington's a little bit better in that department. Miami's going with Yuri Perez here, who is one of their better pitchers. 3.17 ERA, 1.11 whip. He's kind of similar home and away. His ERA is worse on the road, 3.53. He's more walk heavy on the road, and that's the problem. Like, his opponent batting average is actually better on the road, but he's wild on the road, so that's what's going on with him. He's been too wild recently, though. Like, he's striking out a pretty good amount of guys here, and he's not allowing a lot of runs. He's allowed 1 run over his last 3 starts combined, and Miami's won all 3 of them. But he's walking too many guys, and he's kind of getting away with it because he's been really hard to hit. It's kind of the way that he pitches, although he's actually gotten his walk number down this year. He's been very hard to hit. His hit rate's low. His walk rate is too high. His strikeout rate is pretty good. That is high. So strikeout walk ratio, it's actually the lowest that it's been in his career. This year it's below 3, which is not really that good. Strikeout per 9 is good. It's approaching 10, which is similar to what he's done throughout his career. His numbers against Washington are kind of mediocre, though. 55 at-bats, 255 average, 826 OPS isn't that good. They've hit him fairly well. 10-5 strikeout walk ratio, so I don't really know if I want to come in and back Perez at this price. But Jackson Kent is pitching for Washington. He's really young. He's a rookie. He's only made 3 starts so far, but he has an 8.03 ERA and 2.11 whip, which is very bad. 14-11 strikeout walk ratio. In addition to 11 runs allowed and 15 hits allowed in 12 1/3 innings, all those runs earned. And Washington's lost all 3 of his games. Obviously, that's not good, but he's so young, he might start turning this around, but he's had major command issues. He's been way too hittable. He does have strikeout stuff, so that's a good sign that he can strike guys out, but I don't know how good he really is, man. So I think Perez does have the upper hand there. So if you play Miami, you're getting the better pitcher, the better bullpen, the more rested bullpen, and the rest advantage here, and a possible motivational edge, except that Washington might have a little bit of revenge on their mind here. But I would play Miami in this game if I was going to do it. It was close to making the cut for me. The problem is it's at minus 150 as a road favorite. I mean, you basically have to turn that into a -1 run line. If you do, at least they're guaranteed to bat in all 9 innings, but I don't know, man. The money seems to agree. 75% of tickets, 87% of the cash on Miami. That is the way I would play it. I would make a -1 run line or whatever, or just play the money line, I guess, on Miami. That is the way I would play it if I was going to. But Perez's matchup numbers aren't quite good enough for me either, so I don't really want to do that. Oh, and Kent, by the way, he has actually faced he has actually faced Miami, I believe. Yeah, his last start, he actually faced Miami. and he didn't do that well. He only went 4 2/3 innings, had 3 walks, gave up 3 runs. So Miami is actually familiar with Kent, so they just saw him. So I don't know which way it's going to go, because sometimes when a pitcher does bad, sometimes they actually pitch better the next time because they make adjustments. But with a young pitcher like this, that was Miami's first time seeing him, and usually that's when the unfamiliarity is there, and usually the pitcher has the edge. And if that didn't even go well, and now Miami's familiar with what he throws, that could be an extra negative potentially for Kent here. Although, even though his numbers were really not good in that start, his numbers on the board here against Miami's current lineup are actually not bad, which is kind of crazy. 15 at-bats, 200 average, 667 OPS, 5-3 strikeout walk ratio, which is, again, that seems insane given how bad his pitching line looked in that game, although it was actually kind of his best start so far out of the 3 bad starts. So I don't really want to do it, but yes, I would play Miami if I was going to play that game. And as far as the total, I don't know. I mean, it looks like the money's kind of indicating on the under, very slightly, under 8.5. I mean, I don't really have a great feel for it, but I don't know if I'd want to do that. Typically, I'm not going to be on an under in a Washington game, and if I am, it's going to be a first 5 type of thing. I mean, maybe you could make some sort of argument for a first 5 under, but I'm not going to do that. I think the play in that game is probably to just play Miami. Next game will be a play for me. And nobody's going to like this, I don't think. We're going to take the Mets again. I've been taking the Mets a decent amount, and I think it's turned out okay. I mean, I think they're just an undervalued commodity. We're going to fade the Houston Astros here. Both these teams played yesterday, but the Mets are staying at home, so the Mets have a little bit of a travel edge. The Mets just got blasted by Milwaukee. I mean, nobody expected the Mets to beat Mize yesterday, you know. I did say the over made some sense in that game, and it did go over. Mize had a good start. Mets were able to put a couple on the board, and Milwaukee put up a bunch, so it did go over. The Mets are staying at home now, coming off those losses. The Mets seem like they're still putting in effort, you know what I mean? Like, they've actually been playing better since they realized they were out of it, so I think the effort will be there. They get a chance to maybe play spoiler here. Now, Houston does have motivation here, right? Like, they're winning the AL West right now. They're probably going to need to win this division to make the playoffs. But Houston's coming off a winning series against the Yankees. They just won against the Yankees yesterday. So, yeah, they're staying in New York, so they're basically staying where they are, too. So there isn't really a travel edge here for either team. But it could be a letdown spot for Houston, right? Like, that was a huge series win. And I didn't think they were going to win yesterday. They beat Garrett Cole yesterday. So big win for the Astros yesterday, man. Cole wasn't even really that bad, but the Yankees offense really struggled in that game yesterday. So it could be a letdown for Houston here. Houston, the pressure's going to be on them, man, to keep winning, even though, yes, it is motivation, and a lot of times I don't want to go against a motivated team, but Houston's favored on the road, and everybody knows Houston needs to win this game. And I think it's a letdown spot for them, and I think we're actually getting the starting pitching edge here, even though I kind of like both of these starting pitchers, but I actually prefer Scott in this game, and I've backed him multiple times this year. The Mets only used 2 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. They have the better bullpen, and so I'm going to just leave them in. Houston used 3 guys out of their bullpen yesterday, and they used I believe Hader is their closer, and they used him yesterday. So I'm fine with backing the Mets full game here. Mets are number 9 in bullpen, Houston 13. The Mets do have the better bullpen ERA by almost half a run, so I'll leave their bullpen in. Houston does have the better offense. There's no question about that. They're number 9, tied with the Red Sox. The Mets are number 26. So, yes, Houston does have the better offense, but the Mets have come around a little bit on the offensive side since the All-Star break, and I think good pitching could defeat good hitting. And we're actually going to fade Hunter Brown here, even though I like Brown. I think he's a talented pitcher, but coming back from injury, he's had some major issues with his control. His ERA is pretty good, 3.51, but that's not what he is supposed to the last couple of years, or he's been better than this. And his whip is really kind of, I mean, it's not good at 1.33. He's been a little bit better on the road, a 3 ERA on the road, but even so, he's having a lot of wildness issues here, man. Even though he's striking out a lot of guys, he's not going deep into his outings here. Houston has lost his last 4 starts, by the way. Houston's lost every one of his starts this month, so they're not winning behind him, even though a lot of it is that their offense isn't putting up their end. But he's walking way too many guys here. A 21-13 strikeout walk ratio, that's not going to cut it. He's getting a little bit lucky that he's not allowing more runs here. He's hard to hit. He's got a low hit rate on the season, but his walk rate is really high, and his strikeout rate is good. He's a good strikeout pitcher, but his strikeout walk ratio is awful, 1.8. That's the worst that it's been in his entire career. Really bad. And his strikeouts per 9 is one of the lowest that he's had as well, even though it's above 9, which is still good, but he's having some issues here. And kind of the clincher for me on fading him here was he's actually not good against the Mets. They have 59 at-bats against him, although 25 of them are from Semien because he was in the division. Semien was on Texas. Semien has absolutely destroyed Brown, though. And these guys have a 356 average, 879 OPS against them, although they do have 21 strikeouts and 3 walks. So the strikeout walk ratio is really good there. But Brown's overall numbers here are not very good against the Mets. I think he's vulnerable here. And some of those numbers were back when he was a better pitcher. We're going to back Christian Scott here instead, man. Scott, 3.73 ERA, although I know his whip is similar to Brown's, 1.32, which I don't love. But Scott has a better home ERA, 3.38, although his opponent batting average is a little bit worse at home. He wasn't good last time out against the White Sox, but he was pitching reasonably well leading into that, although he had kind of a bad start against Atlanta in here too. But he's kind of been the opposite of Brown this month, where the Mets have won all 4 of Scott's starts this month. So Houston's 0-4 in Brown's last 4 starts. The Mets are 4-0 in Scott's last 4 starts. So I'm hoping that trend continues here. And Scott's had the way better ratio here this month, 26-9 in 20 innings, although he's been a little bit too hittable here. But his command has been better than Brown's here. Scott's got a fairly low hit rate here. He has a lower walk rate than Brown does, even if it's not excellent. And his strikeout rate is actually higher than Brown's. Scott's got the better strikeout walk ratio. It's close to 3, which is much more reasonable. And 11.2 strikeouts per 9 is really nice. Scott has pitched against Houston very briefly. They have 3 hitters who have faced him. They only have 1 hit. Paredes has a single against him. They're 1 for 7 off him. Only 1 strikeout, 1 walk. But still, it's they have not done much against Scott. So I say we back the Mets here, man. I think the situational edge is there for the Mets. The money seems to agree with this. Houston, I think, is just too heavily priced here in a spot like this on the road, minus 120 something. Everybody knows Houston needs to win, and I think that needs to win is kind of built into the price a little bit. 74% of tickets, 56% of the cash on Houston. So the money seems to agree, and the money is heavily backing the under here as well, and the total is basically 7.5. So another situation where I kind of like an underdog for that reason. You know what I mean? If the total's low and the money's expecting the under to come in, that means the underdog definitely has a good chance to hang around. So it means there's probably some value there, and I think you could probably argue the Mets have the better pitching throughout this game. You know what I mean? I just made that argument. So, yeah, and you're getting that team as an underdog, plus the spot is a little bit better for them. Let's do it. Let's take the Mets on the money line. You could get it around plus 110 there. All right. Next game is Kansas City, Cleveland. Kansas City bounced back and won yesterday after they lost their win streak. They won 13-2 yesterday against the pretty bad Toronto Blue Jays. I told you I did not want to fade Kansas City, even though they lost that win streak, and it could have been a momentum stopper. Noah Cameron had good road numbers. Like, he looked like he was the better pitcher in that game, and he was. So I think I leaned Kansas City first 5 in that game, and I'm assuming that was correct. Kansas City is now coming into Cleveland. Kansas City might get up for this because it's a divisional series. They get a chance to play spoiler here against a team that's fighting for the playoffs. But, of course, Cleveland is fighting for the playoffs, and they have a rest edge here. Cleveland did not play yesterday. So Cleveland has a couple of advantages here. Although the fact that Cleveland needs to win might be factored into the line here, you know what I mean? Which is going to be part of the reason why they're favored. Although they should be favored anyway. They're the better team at home. But Cleveland's kind of in a bad spot because they're returning home from a road trip where they went 6-0 on the road trip, but it was against Colorado and Anaheim. And I told you how weak Cleveland's opponents were in this upcoming run. They're playing Colorado, Anaheim, and now Kansas City. So I thought that would help Cleveland's cause, and it is. They're hanging around here in the division, not far off behind Chicago here. So Cleveland does need to keep winning, but a return home spot's not good, man. You know, I talk about that, traveling across multiple time zones, too. Even though going east is easier because on your biological clock, it's like, oh, we're playing like kind of an afternoon game, which is still fine. But still, it's a distracted spot. Like, Cleveland might not totally show up for a series against the Royals, you know, because even though they've been hot recently, they're still the last place Royals, you know. So kind of hard to get up for a team like that. But Cleveland does have the rest advantage here, like I said, and the motivational edge. Kansas City does not have the better bullpen. They used 3 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. Cleveland definitely has a bullpen edge, plus the rest there. Cleveland's 15th in bullpen. Kansas City is dead last, however. As I always say, they're still better than the A's, but they're the second worst bullpen. Offensively, Kansas City is the better team. They've moved up to 16th, tied with Baltimore and Detroit because of that outburst they had in that series. Cleveland is 27th. They're definitely a weak offense. But the offense might be kind of hard to come by in this game. I looked at the starting pitching matchup, and my thought was that this game looks like an under. Michael Wacha's pitching for Kansas City. He's had a good career, man. He's been a pretty effective pitcher, even though he flies under the radar because he's not a strikeout guy, so a lot of times he's good to bet on. He's got a 3.49 ERA this year, 1.13 whip. Those are good numbers. He's not really as good on the road, though, 3.89 road ERA, which is still not bad, but he is better at home. He's in good form right now for the most part. He's not striking out a lot of guys, but he's not putting a lot of guys on base at all. He's going reasonably deep in some of these outings, not allowing that many runs. He's been pretty good. Since the All-Star break, he hasn't had a bad start, really. So maybe, I guess, this one against the A's was slightly bad, but not really that bad. He's got a low hit rate here. His walk rate is kind of mediocre. He does allow too many home runs in here, though. And he doesn't really strike guys out, so that means his strikeout-walk ratio is not really going to be that good. It is 3, actually. I guess I can't do the math anymore. 3 is not that bad. So he is actually not walking that many guys. I get thrown off by seeing that walk number compared to the number of innings. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, wait. And then, his strikeout per 9 is basically, it's kind of around where it's been throughout his career. It's a little bit lower than that, but it's 7, which is similar to what he usually does. So not a huge strikeout guy, but he's effective anyway. Against Cleveland, very weak offense in Cleveland. Wacha has had the upper hand against them in 107 career at-bats, 243 average, 638 OPS, 17-9 strikeout walk ratio is not good, but the rest of those numbers are good. So I think Wacha could have a good start here. Tanner Bybee is on the other side for Cleveland. He's had a pretty good season, although his record doesn't look good because he gets no run support this year, but his numbers are good. 3.97 ERA, 1.14 whip. He's very similar home and away. It doesn't really matter. He's slightly better at home, though. Good last couple of starts from him. He's been all right recently. Had a couple of kind of iffy starts before that, but he still had really good command this month. 23-6 strikeout walk ratio this month kind of indicates that his ERA should be a little bit better than it is this month at 4.88. He's not really putting guys on base. He hasn't been that hittable either, so I think that's a little bit misleading what that ERA looks like. He's only allowed more than 3 earned runs once since the very beginning of July, and he's only allowed it twice going all the way back until late May. So he's pitching pretty well here. He's not allowing a lot of runs. Hit rate is pretty low. Walk rate isn't too bad either. Strikeout rate is all right. So his strikeout walk rate, his strikeout rate's actually kind of low, but his strikeout walk ratio is all right. It's like close to 3. His strikeout per 9 has gone down a bit this year. It's around 7, where it was 8 last year. But maybe he's just pitching a little bit differently, trying to figure out how to pitch a little bit more effectively, although he's been pretty similar to what he was last year, though. Let me see. Against the Royals, Bybee has kind of been mediocre against them in 100 at-bats, 250 average, 768 OPS. It's not bad. It's very average. 22 strikeouts, 10 walks isn't really that good. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm still kind of thinking the under might make more sense than anything else in this game. The under is getting a lot of money. The total's pretty low. It's 7.5. Juice to the under, and it dropped from an 8 juice to the under. So there is some real money coming in on the under in this game, and I do agree with it. 55% of tickets on the over, 87% of the cash on the under. I definitely consider this one, but I don't love Bybee's numbers there. I don't know. Something felt a little bit off about this, but the offenses might help you out with getting this under here. I mean, Kansas City, their offense is bad on the road. Cleveland is just not good in general offensively, but the problem is if you go full game on this, you have to deal with the Kansas City bullpen, which I wouldn't really want to do. So I think if I was going to play this game at all, I think I would have to make it a first 5 under. And if you're doing that, you're going to be looking at a 3.5 most likely. I just don't love it enough, so it's not going to make my card, but I think that's the best way to play this game is first 5 under. The money's coming in on Cleveland, 71% of tickets, 87% of the cash on them at minus 130 or so. I actually disagree with that. Even though Cleveland does have a rest advantage here, they're returning home from the road. I think the pressure is kind of on them. I think they might overlook Kansas City a little. Kansas City's playing a bit better right now. I know they played yesterday, but I think Kansas City first 5 might be worth a look here. Walker, he's got the better matchup numbers over Bybee here. So I think maybe you could do that and get Kansas City as an underdog in the first 5. It'll definitely be like a plus money situation on that, I would say, on the money line there. So I think that might be a potential way to look at that, although I prefer looking at some sort of under in that game. San Diego and Tampa Bay, these teams both were off yesterday. Tampa Bay is returning home from a road trip, though. They went to Baltimore, Detroit, and I talk about it. When a team returns home from the road, I'll say it again, it could be a distraction. Tampa Bay's got a decent lead in the AL East here, and perhaps the Red Sox and Yankees will beat each other up. So I think the best scenario for Tampa is that the Yankees and Red Sox split that series 2-2. I don't know, man. But Tampa Bay, it's possible they overlook San Diego. Maybe not, because San Diego's been playing pretty well. San Diego, I think, needs the game a little bit more because they're in the middle of this wild card race in the NL, and they're really close with Arizona still and all those types of things. San Diego's starting a road trip, although, yes, they do have to travel cross-country here. But with a day off and going east, it's easier than going west, like I said, because if your biological clock isn't adjusted, it's just like you're playing an afternoon game, so that's a lot easier than playing a late game. So San Diego might be in okay shape here. However, I do think Tampa Bay has the better of the starting pitching matchup here. The bullpens, Tampa Bay is ranked higher at number 3, but they are not the better bullpen. San Diego's ranked 7. San Diego's ERA is more than half run better. San Diego's got the better bullpen here, so I am disagreeing with this whip arrangement here. Tampa Bay does have the better offense. They're number 7, tied with the White Sox. San Diego, like I said, they've been better since the All-Star break, but overall they're still 23rd, although better form recently. Casey Mize is pitching for San Diego. They picked him up at the trade deadline. Probably a decent move for them because they really needed some starting pitching. It looks like they might be getting Joe Musgrove back at some point. I forgot about him, but he might come back, and San Diego definitely needs him back. Like, they need some of these starting pitchers. Mize has had a decent season, mostly with Detroit. 3.44 ERA, 1.09 whip. He's been worse on the road, though. 3.93 road ERA. Still not bad, though. But he's only made 4 starts with San Diego, and 2 of them were bad. Had a bad road start against Arizona. Then he settled down and had 2 good starts. And one of those we won on an under, I think, or maybe both of them we did. I forget. Against Milwaukee and Cleveland. One good offense, one bad one. But then he had a bad start last time out against Minnesota. Now, Minnesota is familiar with him because he was in their division, but I thought he had good numbers against them, so maybe not a good sign. That was not a good start from Mize, and that was at home. But he is a pretty good pitcher, so maybe he bounces back again. But there are some other causes for alarm here. Since joining San Diego, his strikeout-walk ratio is really bad, 10-7. That's awful. And 21 hits allowed in 18 innings, so there's something not quite right here. Even though he's had a decent season, and I think he's pretty good, but I don't know what's going on here, man. Now, his numbers against Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay has had the upper hand against him. He has 29 at-bats against them. Most of their batters have faced him. Tampa Bay has a 4.14 average against him and 12.10 OPS, 5-2 strikeout walk ratio, a bunch of extra base hits in here. Mize has not done well against Tampa, man. So Mize is in the worst of his home road splits here and has a bad matchup. And he's not in good form based on his last start. So I don't like Mize in this spot here. Shane McClanahan is pitching for Tampa Bay. He's had a good season. He's coming back from injury here, man. He came back from injury this season, I'm pretty sure, but I think he got injured again, and now he's trying to come back from that. But he's had a good season, 3.1 ERA, 1.12 whip. He's also had a good career. He's in the better of his home road splits. He's good at home, 2.32 home ERA. He bounced back. He had a bad start 2 starts ago against Baltimore. Had to face Baltimore again. He was good in that start. And we lost on Tampa Bay in that game, even though McClanahan had 5 shutout innings in that one. We would have won if we went first 5. Tampa Bay's bullpen blew it. I'm kind of pissed. Maybe I should have just gone first 5 on it because I thought the bullpens were a little bit of a mystery, a little bit of a wash there. But Tampa was winning 2-0 in the 9th inning, dude, and they fucking lost that game. I think it was maybe the 8th or the 9th, whatever it was. I'm not happy, but McClanahan was good in that start. So he looks like maybe he's coming back into form here. McClanahan against San Diego in his career, 61 at-bats, 197 average allowed, 553 OPS. Only 7 of their hitters have faced him, but most of the key guys in their lineup have faced him, and they haven't done well against him. 19 strikeouts, 5 walks. McClanahan has the better matchup and the better home road splits here, so I think I have to lean Tampa Bay in this one, even though they're returning home from the road, and I don't really like that. Yeah, I mean, maybe Tampa Bay first 5, I guess, because I do think San Diego has the better bullpen here. Tampa Bay is getting the money, 76% of tickets, 90% of the cash on them. They're about minus 130. If you play them in the first 5, you might have to pay a little bit more for it, though. Like, you might be looking at like a minus 140 something. If it gets higher than that, then I would say you might have to actually lay a half run with Tampa in the first 5. I really don't want to do it anyway because I'm almost never going to play a team in a return home spot. But yeah, I think Tampa first 5 is probably the best way to play this game. Just focus on the matchup. Although I do worry about the situation. And there is significant money coming in on the under in this game as well. The total's at 7.5, so the odds makers think it's low scoring as well. And I see the argument for it, obviously. I mean, generally, both these pitchers are good. Generally, you have 2 good bullpens here. You have rest, which helps the under. The return home spot can help the under as well because all of that can kind of cool off the hitting. The bullpens are rested. I don't disagree with the under, but Mize does worry me quite a bit there. So that game's just a stay away from me, man. All right. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right, we have Red Sox Yankees, the big series of the weekend, and the Red Sox look like they're basically forfeiting this fucking game tonight. This is on Apple TV. The Red Sox are behind the Yankees in the standings, so the Red Sox have pulled to they're within 2 games of the Yankees. I think they were within 1.5 games a couple days ago. So the Red Sox need to win some games in the series, and I think they're gonna be off to a bad start here, even though the Red Sox have a rest advantage here. Yankees played yesterday, but they're staying at home. The Red Sox are coming in from Miami, but the Red Sox were off yesterday. So yes, the Red Sox do have a rest advantage. Both bullpens are good. The Yankees used 2 guys, but the Yankees did lose Cruz, who's one of their better relief pitchers. So he's not there right now, but the Red Sox have an injured bullpen as well. I don't know if Whitlock's coming back here. Slayton is definitely not coming back anytime soon, I don't think. So the Red Sox have some guys that are missing from their bullpen here. Red Sox are still the number 1 bullpen, and the Yankees are the number 2 bullpen. So we have a bullpen duel going on this weekend between the top 2 bullpens in baseball, but they're both injured. What else was I about to say? The Red Sox seem like they might be getting Roman Anthony back, which he's been hitting well in his rehab in AAA, and he's a good bat, dude. Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to be one of the future guys here, and he looked good when he played last year. He looked really good in the World Baseball Classic as well, so he seems like he may be coming back in this series because he's been playing in AAA, and he played yesterday in AAA as well. So I think Anthony will make an appearance in the series. The question is going to be, who do the Red Sox take out of their roster? And, of course, the all the stupid haters are going to say the Red Sox have to take Duran out of there, like get rid of Duran. There's no way they're going to do that. Duran's one of their Duran's like one of the only guys on the team that has a chance at a 2020, like 20 home run, 20 stolen base season. He's a very aggressive base runner, and he can still hit for power, even though his batting average is bad this year. They're not going to get rid of Duran. Duran just won the last game with a grand slam, or 2 games ago, with a grand slam in the 11th inning. Yeah, fuck all the haters, man. But we'll see what the Red Sox do. And the Red Sox seem like they're going to activate Trevor Story at some point, too, which I really don't like that. Story's been awful for them, dude. Like, he hasn't been able to hit at all. And I guess if they bring him back, they're going to get rid of Monasterio, which I guess I'm fine. Monasterio kind of sucks, dude. His fielding has been bad recently. So anyway, we'll see. I'm too much of a Red Sox homer here, so I'm going into the details. But anyway, this game, even though the Red Sox have the rest advantage here, I do not think the Red Sox set up well here. It's a starting pitching mismatch that's heavily in favor of the Yankees here. The Red Sox have had the better hitting, though, which is interesting. They've been one of the best offenses since the All-Star break. They're number 9, tied with Houston on the season. The Yankees are 15th. The Yankees have struggled recently, as we know, although they have had some good offensive games recently. But here's my problem. The Red Sox still are rolling Patrick Sandoval out there. Like, do they seriously not have any better option? Like, who's on the AAA roster? You could literally probably just throw a dart at the AAA roster, and whoever you bring up is going to be better than this guy. Sandoval fucking blows, dude. 4.54 ERA. That's not even that good at this point, but his whip is abysmal. 1.76. He's not had a good career. He sucks. He's bad on the road. 5.59 road ERA. His opponent batting average is above 300 across this season, although he hasn't pitched that much. He's made 8 starts, and the Red Sox have won 6 of them. I know. Sandoval's getting really lucky, dude. The fact that he's not allowing that many runs. He got obliterated by Pittsburgh a couple starts ago. He's not good, dude, all right? Like, I don't think there's anything else to say about this. He's got a really high hit rate. He's way too hittable. His walk rate isn't even really very good. His strikeout rate is actually pretty good, so I'll give him that, but that's not good enough. His strikeout walk ratio is in the 2s, not good, really. Low 2s. Strikeout per 9 is good. So that's the only thing good about him is he has strikeout potential. His numbers against the Yankees are actually good. In 40 at-bats, 200 average, 645 OPS. I looked at this earlier and I just had to laugh. It's 7 batters that the Yankees have that have faced him. 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. Do what you want with that info, man. I do not trust Sandoval, even though he does have good matchup numbers here. There's no way I could trust him. And the Yankees are going with Cam Schlittler, who is still the front runner, I think, for the Cy Young in the AL, even though he's been a little bit worse recently. 2.16 ERA, 0.96 whip on the season. He's up there in innings, though, 158 now. And that's what you have to worry about with a young pitcher like him is he starting to fall off a little bit? Well, he does still have a really good strikeout walk ratio, above 5 on the season, which is crazy. 11 strikeouts per 9. That is very, very good, obviously. Schlittler is actually not as good at home, though. 3.71 home ERA. He has significant splits where he's completely elite on the road, and he's not as good at home. And yes, the Yankees ballpark is hitter-friendly. He's still striking out a ton of guys, so it looks like he's not really falling off yet, but he's had too many walks recently. He's had 11 walks in his last 21 and a third innings, even though he has 28 strikeouts to go along with it. So tons of strikeouts, but his wildness is kind of becoming an issue here. And against Toronto twice in a row, maybe that's not a great sign. He does have a really low hit rate still. Really low, low walk rate, really high strikeout rate, as I already pointed out. All that is good. And he's got good numbers against the Red Sox as well. In 62 at-bats, 194 average allowed, 521 OPS, 19 strikeouts, 3 walks. So, yeah, do I think the Red Sox are going to win this game? No, I do not. Even though it looks like the money is actually on the Red Sox. 56% of tickets, 92% of the cash on them. The price plummeted on the Yankees from minus 170 down into the minus 150s range. So it looks like there's real money on the Red Sox. I'm not going to do it. The Yankees clearly have the pitching edge here. I don't know what else to say about this. Like, Schlittler is way better than Sandoval. It's not even close. Situationally, I will agree. Situationally, the Red Sox have an edge here, and it's supposed to be a low-scoring game. The total's at 7. The money is slightly backing the over, but the over is very public. You're usually going to see overs being public in like a highly public series like Red Sox, Yankees, where everybody sees these teams as good teams, good offenses, whatever. Public is mostly going to play overs in these games, so you might find some value on unders here. I wouldn't disagree with the under. The total's low. It's at 7. It's low for a reason. I don't really want to do it in a Sandoval game because I think it's dangerous. Plus, Schlittler not quite as good at home and maybe fading a little bit here as his innings go up. But you saw the matchup numbers, and both bullpens are good, so I think there are more indicators towards an under than an over, and you might see the teams kind of play a little bit tight in the series, you know what I mean? Yankees, by the way, do also have revenge on mind here because they just got swept in a 4-game series in Boston not that long ago, if you remember that. During that Red Sox insane hot streak, the Red Sox had a 4-game sweep over the Yankees in that series. Do I think the Red Sox are going to do that again here? No, obviously not. I don't think they're going to win this game tonight. I think they're going to be starting the series off on in a negative fashion already. Although the money seems to not totally agree with me, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I would probably lean towards the Yankees, to be honest, on like a -1 run line. And I would agree with the under, but I don't want to do it, man. All right, Colorado and Atlanta. Garrett, wouldn't it just be baseball if Atlanta sweeps the Dodgers and then they lose to the Rockies? That would be baseball. Atlanta's a huge favorite here, though, but they had a huge series sweep of the Dodgers. Both teams played yesterday, and Atlanta is staying at home, but this could be a letdown for Atlanta, man. I mean, they have a 5-game lead in the NL East right now. They could maybe flip cruise control on here, you know what I mean? It could be a bit of a letdown spot after 4 big wins in a row for Atlanta. Do you really think they're going to pay that much attention to the Rockies? The Rockies are coming in from Washington, so their travel isn't too bad here. They lost yesterday 7-1. They might get up for a game against Atlanta here, and Atlanta does not have one of their, it's not Chris Sale on the mound today. Let's just put it that way. Atlanta does have the better bullpen. There's no question about that. And they used nobody because Chris Sale had a complete game yesterday. So the Atlanta bullpen is good and rested here. Colorado's bullpen is totally unbackable, and they used 3 guys yesterday. So, yes, I would not back Colorado's bullpen. Colorado number 27 in bullpen, and Atlanta's number 4, which I think is about right. I mean, I think they're like a top 5 bullpen. Like I said, the top 5 bullpens I think are absolutely Red Sox, Yankees, Brewers, Braves, Padres, and then there's a gap, and then everybody else. Hitting-wise, Colorado has the upper hand there. They're number 4 hitting, although I don't think they're as good on the road, but the Braves are actually not quite as good at home hitting. They're number 13 overall in offense. Tomoyuki Sugano pitching for the Rockies. The advanced analytics guys are starting to pat themselves on the back because they've pegged this guy as a major regression candidate, and he's been pretty bad in his last 2 starts. 4.96 ERA on the season, 1.32 whip. Not great, but a lot better than people thought he would do, and he's been one of Colorado's least bad pitchers. He's a little bit better on the road, 4.91 road ERA. He did actually have better home numbers for a while, but it makes no sense because Coors Field is bad, and he's a fly ball pitcher, so you think he wouldn't be as good there. Last 2 starts weren't good. You can give him a pass for a bad start against the Dodgers. I mean, we know how good their offense is. Probably gets less of a pass for pitching poorly against Cleveland in the next start. We'll see what he can do, man. But he's still really not walking guys, but he's been too hittable. So that's kind of the way that he pitches. He pitches to contact. He's definitely too hittable. He allows too many home runs. But that's some of that is the Coors Field effect, though, and he's not in Coors Field here. He doesn't walk many guys, and he does not strike out many guys either. So his strikeout-walk ratio, is still not very good. It's 2.5. His strikeout per 9 is actually quite bad at 5.3. So you can see why the analytics guys really don't like him. But I don't hate him as much as they do because I look at, how many guys is he putting on base, whatever. Because he doesn't walk many guys, I still kind of put him more in somewhat of a mediocre category, where they put him in like a bad category. Sugano against the Braves, they really haven't seen much of him. They only have 2 hitters who have faced him, Dominic Smith and Lane Thomas. Thomas has the only hit, which is a single. They're 1 for 8 off him with a strikeout. So Sugano has possibly a little bit of an unfamiliarity edge here, even though it's not like he throws stuff that's unfamiliar to anybody really. But maybe he pitches okay here because Atlanta hasn't really seen him, and the guys that haven't really done anything against him. Grant Holmes is pitching for Atlanta. 3.64 ERA, but his whip isn't really that good at 1.32. He's not as good at home, even though last year he was better at home. 4.48 home ERA. So he is a bit fadeable at home, and even though he's allowed 0 runs in 3 of his last 4 starts, I don't know, man. And I think I backed him, didn't I? I think I backed him against the White Sox in his last game, and that was a spot play where the spot was really good for Atlanta. Holmes has some issues here, though, man, even though his ERA is really good this month in the 2s, but a 13-9 strikeout walk ratio in 21 2/3 innings, that's not good. He's just not striking guys out here. So I think that's a little bit of a concerning number there. Numbers overall in the season, he isn't too hittable, so that's good, but he does walk too many guys, and his strikeout rate is not very high. So that's kind of a problem. His strikeout walk ratio is actually quite bad. It's below 2, which is not good. And his strikeout per 9 is in the 7s. So both of those numbers are the worst that he's had in his career, which is not good. He's only in his 3rd season, though, although he's 30, so maybe that's not a good sign either. His numbers against the Rockies, though, he's been good against them in 36 at-bats, 222 average, 604 OPS, 16-1 strikeout walk ratio. I do kind of lean Colorado here in the first 5. I would never deal with their bullpen, especially not in a scenario where Atlanta's is rested and clearly the better one. Atlanta's minus 220 something here, though, man, with Grant Holmes on the mound. I mean, Colorado getting no respect in the market. 77% of tickets, 81% of the cash on Atlanta. I think it could be a letdown spot for Atlanta, so I could see the argument for taking Colorado on the run line in the first 5 here, and maybe both pitchers do okay enough that they can get that, or maybe Sugano, does okay enough that you can get there with that one. First 5 Colorado, I would slightly lean that way, and I would slightly lean first 5 under. You saw the matchup numbers there. I don't like either pitcher, really, but they do have good matchup numbers. The total's at 8.5 for the full game. Some books have a 9. Money is coming in on the over in that game. 59% of tickets on the under, 63% of the cash on the over. Yeah, I still think first 5 under may be worth considering here. I think you get the weak split for both offenses here, and both pitchers may do okay in this matchup. Let's just put it that way. But, the pitchers are kind of untrustworthy, too. So if this game went over, I still wouldn't really be shocked about it. It's that game I'm not going to play. That's a difficult game to figure out. Seattle and Toronto on Apple TV. Toronto played yesterday, and they got killed by the Royals. They're staying at home. The Mariners had the day off. The Mariners are traveling, I believe, starting a road trip. So the Mariners are coming in from the Pacific time zone, but they do have a rest advantage here. So Seattle didn't play yesterday. Toronto did. Toronto used 3 relief pitchers. They've seen some bullpen usage recently, man. So Toronto normally, I would say they are the better bullpen here. The number 17. Seattle's number 20. I think it's a little bit closer given that Seattle's just rested coming into this one, though. Both offenses have been bad. So this could be a series where you want to look towards some unders. Toronto 28th and Seattle 29th. So Seattle's tied dead last with Anaheim in offense. So you're going to have some pretty bad offense in this series generally and possibly good pitching. And maybe you want to attack the under in this game, man. But the problem is we don't know who Seattle is pitching here. It's supposed to be Emerson Hancock. They haven't decided yet, and I honestly don't know because actually Cade Anderson would be next up in the rotation, I'm pretty sure. And I don't know if they're deciding to kick Hancock out of the rotation, move him to the bullpen. So I actually don't know what Seattle's going to do here. But I think I might like the under in this game either way, but I don't think I really want to put it on my card, even though you're getting Toronto's best pitcher here. So it might be the best shot it might be the best situation to take a shot on the under in the series with Seattle being rested, which can cool off their offense, rest their bullpen. Cease on the other side. I don't know, man. I don't think I want to put it on my card, but if Emerson Hancock is pitching, he's had a decent season. He's not that much worse on the road, and he has pretty good numbers against Toronto. So I'm not going to go into it because he might not pitch, but I think he is backable as far as an under is concerned. If it's Cade Anderson, Anderson's only made one start so far in his major league career, and he was tearing it up in Double-A, and then Seattle brought him up because they skipped Triple-A in Seattle's org because their AAA stadium's hitter friendly. I don't know why they do that. Like, I think they should battle test their pitchers in AAA, but whatever. Anderson pitched okay when he pitched against the Cubs, although I think he was like crying in the dugout because he looked like they were going to lose the game, and he wasn't good enough to win. But Seattle pulled the game out of their ass anyway and won the game late when it came down to the bullpens. But it might be Anderson here. But Anderson going from playing against the Cubs, pitching against them, to pitching against Toronto, that should be a relief for Anderson. And Toronto will have never faced him before, and Anderson's got good stuff. So that might be an advantage to Anderson too, because Toronto's never faced him before. So whether it's Hancock or Anderson, maybe I do still this is close to being a play for me. And then Dylan Cease on the other side. I mean, I don't think we have any problems backing him as far as an under is concerned. He's got a 2.37 ERA, 1.06 whip, although he is actually a little bit worse at home, 3.03 home ERA. He is walking too many guys, but he's striking out a ton of guys at the same time. That's just what he does, man. Like, he's extremely hard to hit, but he's wild. He's got an extremely low hit rate. His walk rate isn't really that good, but his strikeout rate is also very high. So that evens out to him having like a decent strikeout walk ratio anyway in the threes. You'd like him to not walk as many guys, though. And it does mean he throws too many pitches. Like last time out, he threw 111 pitches in 6 2/3. Second straight start against the Yankees. So maybe that's a little bit of a concern. Just the pitch count for him has been really high, but he had a complete game shutout against the Red Sox not long ago and threw 120 pitches, and he followed that up with another dominant start against St. Louis right after that. So he's a veteran. I mean, this is just what he does. You probably don't need to be too worried about it. He's also got a really high strikeout per 9, obviously, at 13. I mean, that's like Mizurowski territory. Cease is definitely in the mix for Cy Young this year. And Cease against Seattle, as you could probably guess, he's good against Seattle. They have 82 at-bats against him, 195 average, 592 OPS, 28-9 strikeout walk ratio, which is actually a little bit better, I think, than what you... Well, actually, no. I mean, it's just he usually gets a lot of strikeouts. Anyway, the total in this game is at 7, so everybody's kind of expecting a low-scoring game, or the odds makers expecting a low-scoring game here. Seattle's still undecided. 80% of tickets, 89% of the cash on Seattle. So the money looks like it's slightly indicating towards the over, but I don't put much weight into that. Money's also backing Toronto, but they dropped from minus 191 all the way into the minus 150 range. So I don't know if that's because Seattle's making a pitching change that makes Seattle better in this game. I'm not sure. 71% of tickets, 92% of the cash on Toronto. So the money is somewhat backing Toronto, even though Seattle has the rest advantage. And by the way, Seattle has a motivational edge here too, because Seattle needs to win. Like, they're trying to win their division still. So Seattle's got the motivation here. You know what I mean? Over Toronto, who's just kind of playing out the stretch here. Yeah, I like the under here, man. I think maybe what I will say is, I guess I would say wait and then see who the starting pitcher is going to be. And maybe I'll wind up adding it to my card and put out a video on it and whatever. If I do, you should see it. It will wind up being an under 7 probably in this one. It's very, very close to making the cut for me. All right. I want to get through this, man, because there's a lot of NFL preseason. I don't know how I can get through it fast enough. Texas and Milwaukee. Texas has a rest edge here. Milwaukee played yesterday, and they're returning home, although they only went to New York for one series to play the Mets. But it is still a return home spot for Milwaukee, and they're playing a team they probably don't care about. Milwaukee has nice padding in the NL Central, and they just got gifted a little bit by the Braves gave them a gift by sweeping the Dodgers. So Milwaukee, I think, is in that number 1 spot here right now, if I'm not mistaken. Milwaukee could be a little bit of a bad spot for them, feeling a little bit good about themselves, returning home, although from a short road trip, playing an AL team they're not going to pay attention to. Texas needs to win because they're trying to win their division here. And Texas is going to be an underdog here because they're not the better team. So there might be a little bit of value maybe looking towards Texas here. Milwaukee does have the better bullpen, though, but they did use 3 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. They did not use their closer, though. They pretty much just used, like, long relief men. So Milwaukee's bullpen is still in pretty good shape here, and they're the better bullpen. They're number 5, according to the whip arrangement here. Texas is 19th. They've been a disappointing bullpen this year. Milwaukee's also better offensively. They're number 5. Texas is number 21, tied with Arizona. I think this could be an under, though. Like, I don't think I really want to come in and try to play Texas because Logan Henderson is awesome, and I don't want to fade him, even though this looks like a situational spot that favors Texas with the rest edge. I believe Texas is traveling from, actually, it's a very easy travel spot for for Texas from Chicago. They just played the White Sox, so they only have to travel from Chicago to Milwaukee. So yeah, the travel spot is way easier for Texas here, and they're coming off some really ugly results. They just gave up double-digit runs in two games in a row to the White Sox. Texas, the situation definitely favors Texas in this game. If you want them, you're going to have to back Cody Bradford, and he's still a bit of a mystery. He came back from missing, I think, an entire season with an injury. He looked good when he was pitching earlier in his career. Injuries kind of derailed him. He's got a 3.05 ERA and a very limited sample size this year, although his whip is not that good, 1.4. He's not been as good on the road either with a 4.09 road ERA, and he's been way too hittable. So there are some concerns with him here. He's only made 4 starts, so the Texas lost 3 of them, and a couple of them were against Anaheim, who's not a good offense. So the Bradford wasn't really that bad there, but he's not striking guys out. He's not really walking anybody, but he's been way too hittable, and his strikeout rate's not really that good. So his strikeout walk ratio is pretty good because he's not walking anybody, but it's lower than it was in the past prior to him missing the entire 2025 season. And his strikeout per 9 is way down from what it was in those seasons, but maybe he just has to keep pitching and he'll get his stuff back. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say Bradford is done, and he's not allowing many runs here at the very least. Bradford against Milwaukee, they basically haven't seen him. Only Gary Sanchez has ever faced him, and he's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. So Bradford is unfamiliar to them. He might pitch well here. And Logan Henderson, I would guess he's going to pitch well again because that's just what he does. Henderson's been awesome. 2.6 ERA, 0.89 whip. He was good last year, too. He's been good at home, 2.25 home ERA. He's still in good form right now, and he really hasn't thrown many innings. So he's going to be fresh if they want him to pitch in the playoffs. He's only at like 70 innings here, so he's going to be fresh. He's not allowing many runs here at all. In fact, he has not allowed more than 3 earned runs in any start on the entire season, and he's only done that twice. And Milwaukee's won 10 of his last 11 starts. He's got a low hit rate, low walk rate, high strikeout rate. Those numbers are all good. Strikeout per 9, strikeout walk ratio, I mean, is over 5, which is really good. Strikeout per 9 in the 10s, also really good. His numbers against Texas, there is not much of a there's no sample size, in fact. So Henderson, I think, does have an edge here against Texas's hitting. They're not even a good offense, really, but they're a little bit better on the road. But Henderson's good, and they haven't seen him before. So, yes, I expect Henderson to pitch well here, too. I think the under is the best way to play this game. Money doesn't quite seem to agree. 63% of tickets, 69% of the cash on the over. Totals at 7.5. So the odds maker's telling you again, I have a lot of under leans today, but I don't have an actual under on my card. I think the one that I like the best is still Seattle and Toronto, though. But I kind of want to see what Seattle actually chooses to do. This one, I like this one too. And this one's a little bit more under the radar because nobody really knows who these two pitchers are. Everybody knows who Cease is. You know what I mean? Nobody knows Bradford and Henderson. But 7.5 tells you the odds makers think it'll be low scoring. The under is, I think, the best way to play this game. And I think both bullpens are decent enough. Well, Milwaukee's is definitely good. And Texas, with the rest that they have, I think they should be okay to go in this game. So, yes, under would be the way I would play this, under 7.5. And it's close to making the cut for me. 86% of tickets, 91% of the cash on Milwaukee. They're around minus 180. Like I said, I think the spot is a little bit better for Texas because they have a better travel spot, and they have rest here. So Texas, I would lean Texas first 5 here. Bradford is not the better pitcher over Henderson, though, and that's kind of the problem. Like, basically, you'd be playing the fact that Texas is a big underdog in a decent spot, and that Bradford can kind of hang around with Henderson. And because I think it's going to be low scoring, yeah, I think he can. I think both pitchers might do well here. So, yeah, Texas on the half run line in the first 5. I think that is the way to look at the side in this game. I would play the under if I was going to do anything in this game. But, yeah, I do lean to Texas run line first 5 as well. All right, 5 more games. I'm going to take a break. I'll be back. I have one more play in here, and I forget what it is, actually. I do have one more play in here, but I'll be right back. Yep, inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. All right, next is White Sox Twins. Both teams probably are motivated here. I mean, Minnesota may be more motivated. White Sox in first place in the AL Central, though they kind of need to win to continue being in that position. Minnesota probably thinks they think they're not out of it yet, probably, and or they probably are going to show up to try to spoil the season for the White Sox at the very least. So I think both teams are going to show up here. Minnesota's in a difficult spot, though, because they're returning home from a road trip, and they had a bad road trip. They lost 5 of 6 games, including losing to the A's after getting swept by San Diego. Not good times for Minnesota here, man. So it is a negative spot here, and the fact that they're returning home could be a bit difficult. Both teams had the day off yesterday. White Sox are starting a road trip. They were just at home, so the White Sox are in the better spot. You know, I always prefer the team starting a road trip, which is usually a focus spot, over the team returning home, which usually comes with distractions. The White Sox have the better bullpen here. They're number 16. Minnesota is number 28. They're one of the worst. So White Sox do have the edge there. White Sox have been the better offense, too, although both offenses are fairly good. White Sox tied in 7th with Tampa Bay. Minnesota is 12th. White Sox have Luis Castillo pitching. I don't know what we're going to get out of him here, man. He has not had a good season. The Mariners traded him away. He's had a good career, so I don't really know what's going on with him this season, but 5.19 ERA, 1.42 whip, those are not good numbers. He's not good on the road, 5.51 road ERA. Hasn't really pitched well with the White Sox either. He's made 4 starts with the White Sox, and it looked like he was turning it around because he had one really good one against Cincinnati, but since then he's been bad again. So 3 of his 4 starts here with the White Sox have been bad. He's not doing well, although his strikeout walk ratio is actually good, 19-5 with Chicago so far. But he's allowed too many hits, but maybe he's getting a little bit unlucky. But he's definitely been too hittable, and that's been the case over the season. His hit rate is way too high. He's really not walking a lot of guys, and his strikeout rate is somewhat okay, but the hits have been ridiculous. He's got a decent strikeout walk ratio here on the season. It's around 3. It's not too bad. His strikeout per 9 is 8, which is lower than what he usually does, but it's tolerable. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with him, man. His numbers against Minnesota are pretty good in 123 at bats, 30-9 strikeout walk ratio, 228 average, 654 OPS. Castillo does have a good matchup here at the very least. I don't know if I want to trust him, though. He's in bad form, and he hasn't been good on the road, so I don't know if we could trust him. Dean Kremer on the other side, I don't think I really trust him either, even though his whip actually does indicate that his ERA should be better. 5.22 ERA, but a 1.18 whip is actually pretty good. And he's been good as a home pitcher here, 3.81 home ERA, but a lot of that was with Baltimore. He hasn't pitched that much this season. Baltimore traded him away, and since he's been on Minnesota, he's been fairly good. His walk number's been a little bit high, but the rest of his numbers have been pretty good. He's been hard to hit, although Minnesota's lost 3 of his 4 starts. But he hasn't done that badly. He's allowed more than 2 earned runs only once. He's got pretty low hit rate here. His walk rate's not too bad either. His strikeout rate is right around 1 per inning, which is good. So yeah, he's got a strikeout per 9 that's in the 3, or strikeout walk ratio in the 3s. That's not bad. Strikeout per 9 is like 8, or in the 8s, I guess. That's not, or close to 9 actually. Like I said, that's not bad either. His numbers against the White Sox are actually good as well. 39 at bats, 205 average, 603 OPS, 8-2 strikeout walk ratio. So I first looked at this and my thought was kind of more of like an over thought, because I'm like, oh yeah, I don't really like either of these pitchers right now. This could actually be like an under in the first 5. I mean, you have both teams being rested here. Both pitchers actually have good matchup numbers, believe it or not. This game kind of confuses me. The money is definitely indicating on the over, though. 56% of tickets on the under, 84% of the cash on the over. The total's around 9, so it is that way for a reason. Odds makers think it'll be a high-scoring game. I'm not so sure, man. I mean, I think first 5 under is in consideration in this game based on the matchup numbers. I certainly don't love it. I don't really like either pitcher. Like, I don't really trust either pitcher. If you're going to take the over, I would say at least do it in the full game, though, because Minnesota's bullpen will be your friend if you play the over, which is why I would avoid them if I was going to play the under. The money's also heavily indicating on Minnesota, even though they're in a return home spot. 54% of tickets on the White Sox, 93% of the cash on Minnesota. Minnesota's around minus 120-something here. Now, the line is kind of misleading, right? Like, why would Minnesota be favored here? So the odds makers, they know what they're doing, and you know the public's going to look at this and want to take the White Sox because Minnesota's not playing well, and the White Sox have the better record, so the public's going to play the White Sox here. But I don't know, man. When it's a misleading line like this, I tend to think about it and be like, yeah, like what are the odds makers telling me here? They know the public's going to come in on the White Sox here, and they're okay with that. So they seem to be telling you that Minnesota should win this game. I don't want to do it in a return home spot, but Kremer has been the pitcher in better form. Minnesota's the more desperate team here. So those things, I mean, I guess do kind of indicate towards Minnesota here. I don't think I have much else on it. And Kremer's ERA is misleadingly high, at least I will say that. And he's had a better season than Castillo, although he's pitched less this season. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't really disagree necessarily with Minnesota. Like, I agreed with Tampa, even though they're in a return home spot. I guess I'll agree with Minnesota first 5 as well. I would not play them full game because their bullpen is definitely at a disadvantage. But, yeah, first 5 under possibly, and first 5 Minnesota maybe. Although if you play Minnesota first 5, you're going to be laying a little bit heavier of a price probably. Next game is my last play. It's a spot play, but it is also kind of a matchup play. We're going to take the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think this is kind of a cheap price, actually, to get them at in this game against St. Louis, where St. Louis, I mean, they might be motivated, I guess, because they're playing a divisional opponent here, but Pittsburgh is behind St. Louis, so Pittsburgh might get up for this because, again, divisional series, but a lot of times the team that's lower in the standings will be the more motivated one, and I think Pittsburgh's the better team, and the odds makers are telling you that, right? So this is kind of a misleading line, even though I think kind of the thought process from people, I think the public does tend to like Pittsburgh more than St. Louis because they have the better offense. But you can see here, Pittsburgh has the worst record. So why is Pittsburgh favored on the road? Well, I think that's because they have the better pitcher on the mound. Now, St. Louis did just end a losing streak, and a lot of times I like to back teams in a spot like that. They ended a 5-game losing streak, beating Baltimore. They had yesterday off. Both teams had yesterday off, I'm pretty sure. Now, that normally I would say, yeah, that's good. That means they're going to have some new momentum here. But actually, this really is mostly a matchup play for me. I don't know why I said it was a spot play. Pittsburgh is having to come in from the Pacific Coast, but it is easier to travel east than west, like I said. And they just got shut out in their last game. So I think they're going to be a little bit... they're going to have a little bit of increased motivation from that. Although I will say Pittsburgh's offense has been struggling recently, so I will say that. But I think they got the better pitcher on the mound here. I don't exactly love the spot for St. Louis here. Wait, St. Louis played yesterday. What am I saying? St. Louis played yesterday. You're right. It is a spot play. I was like, wait, why am I doing this again? Yeah. Pittsburgh has a rest advantage. That's why I'm doing it. St. Louis played yesterday. Yes, that's a big part of this handicap action. I don't know who wound up starting for them or if they went with a bullpen game, but they actually beat Baltimore, like I said. But St. Louis played yesterday and Pittsburgh did not. So we have a rest edge with Pittsburgh here. And I think Pittsburgh might have the better bullpen too. But look at this bullpen usage from St. Louis recently. It's not good when you see all this red and orange and whatever, man. They used 6 bullpen arms yesterday and 4 the day before that, and 3 guys pitched both days. That's not good. So, yeah, let's fade this bullpen here, man. So Pittsburgh has a rested bullpen, and they're the better bullpen anyway. They're ranked 22nd, but their ERA is significantly better than St. Louis, who's at 23rd. And with the rest edge on top of that, I think we do get the bullpen edge with Pittsburgh here. We get the better offense, even though they've been struggling recently. Pittsburgh is still the number 6 offense. St. Louis is 24th, so they haven't been good. St. Louis at home, I think, is actually quite bad offensively. It's a more pitcher-friendly park. And we're also backing Jared Jones here, and he's the more established pitcher. And I think he's better than his 4.76 ERA suggests. His career has been better than this, although I know he missed all of last year with an injury, but he's pitched a decent amount this year at this point. He has a 1.25 whip, which is higher than I'd like, but it's not that bad. His ERA is better on the road, 4.03 road ERA, although his opponent batting average is worse on the road at 252. But this is a pitcher-friendly ballpark, man. And although I know Jones has kind of struggled recently, 19 to 11 strikeout walk ratio with 21 hits allowed, and his team has lost his last 4 starts. I know that's not good. He's not in very good form right now. He had one good start in there against the Red Sox. I think he's going to bounce back at some point, man. Yes, his team has lost whatever this is, 8 of his last 9. I get that. That's not a good sign. But he's got a low hit rate. His walk rate's not really that high. His strikeout rate is high. So these overall numbers are not bad. So I think he's going to bounce back at some point here. Like, he hasn't thrown that many innings this year. His strikeout walk ratio is at 3, which is fine. Strikeout per 9 is over 10. So I think he's a good pitcher. Not in the greatest form right now, I know. But I think the matchup is going to help him here as well. Against a pretty weak St. Louis offense. They only have 3 hitters who have faced him, but they're 0 for 6 off him with a strikeout and a walk. So I think Jones has the upper hand in this matchup here against Quinn Matthews, who is a young pitcher for St. Louis. Well, he's 25. He's not as young as I thought. He's a very lanky dude at 6'5", 188. So he's tall but thin. He has not pitched well so far. 6.43 ERA, 1.79 whip. You want to talk about form that's not that good. He's allowed 18 hits in 14 innings so far across 3 starts. His team has lost 2 of the 3. He's only made it exactly 5 innings in both. So that means St. Louis's bullpen is likely to have to come into this game, and we're fading that aspect of this too because their bullpen's massively unrested, and it's not good. He does have a decent strikeout rate at 13, but 7 walks on top of that, not good. And then one time he didn't walk that many guys last time out against Philly. Philly obliterated him and had 10 hits and 7 runs off him in 5 innings. So Matthews is not pitching well, although, yes, it is true that he's unfamiliar to Pittsburgh, so that sometimes I would say that's an advantage to the pitcher because they're unfamiliar, but Matthews has not been pitching well. He was unfamiliar to all 3 teams that faced him so far, and they all did somewhat well against him, except Cincinnati kind of didn't. Also, Toronto, Cincinnati, Philly. The best offense he faced so far was Philly, and he got wrecked by them. Toronto and Cincinnati are not good offenses. Philly, decent, but Pittsburgh's going to be the best offense he's faced so far, even though they're not in the greatest offensive form right now. I don't think that's good. Matthews is going to have to step up his game further. This will be his first home start ever with St. Louis, though. His first home start of his major league career. So I guess maybe there's some excitement around that, but I still don't like it, man. I like the Pirates in this one. I think Jones is the better pitcher, the more established pitcher here. The money seems to heavily agree with this. 55% of the tickets are on St. Louis, 91% of the cash on Pittsburgh. So like I said, public doesn't really love Pittsburgh here. Like, why are they a favorite on the road as the worst team? Pittsburgh right around that pick 'em price. So that's what we're going to do here, man. And the money is also backing the under pretty strongly. Under 7.5, where normally I don't love like playing a favorite in a situation like this, but it's just a pick 'em price. So neither team is really going to be at heavy plus money here, so whatever. But yes, the total is low. The money's coming in towards the under. I guess there's some argument for that. You have a lot of unfamiliarity with these two pitchers here, so maybe I could see an argument for that. I think if you play the under, you should do it first 5, though, because I would not want to factor in the bullpens. But part of my handicap here is the rest edge that Pittsburgh has. We're definitely going to we're factoring in the bullpens into it because I think they have a big bullpen edge here against a very unrested St. Louis bullpen that isn't the better one anyway. All right. Philadelphia and Anaheim. I looked at this and I was thinking, yeah, there might be some value looking at Anaheim as a dog here, man, because they definitely have the better pitcher on the mound here. But maybe I don't really want to do it. I'm not putting it on my card. Anaheim is staying at home. They just got swept by Cleveland. I mean, Anaheim's just kind of playing out the stretch now, though. Like, are they going to get up for Philly? I don't know. Philly has more to play for because Philly is trying to secure themselves a playoff spot here. They're already on the West Coast. They just played the Mariners, and now they're coming in. So both teams not having to switch time zones here. I believe both teams were off yesterday. Yeah, so both teams are rested here. So same amount of rest. I don't love either bullpen here. Anaheim's bullpen is ranked 21st. Phillies is ranked 18th. They're similar. Phillies is the slightly worse ERA, but they're similar bullpens. They're not great bullpens. Phillies 19th offensively. They're not as good on the road, though, but they are the better offense over Anaheim, who's tied in last with Seattle. Philly's got Andrew Painter on the mound, though, man, and he has not had a good season, although he's young, he's a rookie, 6.04 ERA, 1.48 whip. Obviously, those are not good numbers. He's got he's worse on the road, 6.92 road ERA with almost a 300 batting average on the road. That's not good. However, Painter's been better recently. Like, his last 5 starts have all been good. So I think they sent him to the minors, and he was down in the minors for over a month. And since he's come back, kind of like with Fott, since Painter's come back, he's been a lot better. He's allowed more than 2 earned runs only one time, and Philadelphia's won his last 3 starts. So he's definitely pitching better. He's got a 20-7 strikeout walk ratio this month, which is a lot better than what he was doing. It's not excellent, but it's not bad. He's coming off probably his best start of his career against St. Louis last time, out of 7-inning, 1-run performance with 8 strikeouts, no walks. So he's actually in decent form right now. So I don't know if I actually want to fade Painter here. And he's facing a really weak lineup that might be a little bit unmotivated. Anaheim has not seen him before. I don't know, man. It seems like Painter changed some things, figured some things out when he was back in the minors. I don't really want to fade him here. I don't want to fade Reed Detmers either, though. I mean, you know I like Detmers. I think he's good. I think he flies under the radar because he's on a bad team. 3.62 ERA, 1.06 whip. He's better at home. 3.49 home ERA with a 191 opponent batting average at home. He hasn't allowed a run in his last 2 starts, and he's only walked 1 guy over those 14 innings, so he's definitely in good form right now. 27-6 strikeout walk ratio this month, also very good. He's allowed 1 run in his last 3 starts. Granted, 2 of them were against Texas, and 1 was in Texas, and 1 was at home against Kansas City. So those were not difficult matchups. But Detmers is still a good pitcher. He's got a low hit rate. He doesn't really walk that many guys. He strikes out a lot of guys. His strikeout walk ratio is around 4, which is quite good. Strikeout per 9 is in the 10s, which is also good. Definitely a good pitcher, man. Numbers against Philadelphia. They have 26 at-bats against them, but Detmers has actually not done well against them. 385 average, 1,054 OPS, 5 strikeouts, 7 walks, so those are not good numbers. I can't back Detmers here, man. He has bad matchup numbers. I can't do it. Initially, I was like, oh, yeah, Detmers is definitely better than Painter. Like, we might be able to back Anaheim here, but I don't think we should, and they are an underdog, and the line initially dropped on Philadelphia, but the money looks like it is actually coming in on Philly now. Maybe because they're the more motivated team, potentially. 64% of tickets, 87% of the cash on Philly. They're at about minus 130. I mean, I might not even disagree, actually, because Painter has been in much better form. He's kind of unfamiliar to Anaheim, and Anaheim, Detmers does not do well against Philly, so I might have to flip that whole thing around and actually lean towards Philly here, which, kind of gross. And I think I still see kind of more indicators towards an under than an over here. We have 72% of tickets, 92% of the cash on the over, but you have two bullpens that are kind of okay. I don't love Anaheim's for sure. I mean, I don't love either bullpen for sure, but they're both rested coming into this game. Neither offense is really that good. Phillies is not that good on the road. Anaheim's is very bad at home. So you have two offenses that might be a little bit weak here. Both pitchers are in very good form right now. Total being at 8. Yeah, I think that the under, I think there are more arguments for an under than an over here. And the side for me is actually hard to figure out. So I don't know. Maybe the under makes more sense than the side. Tough game to figure out, though. Baltimore at the A's. The A's have a rest advantage here. The A's are staying at home as well, and they didn't play yesterday. And the A's won their last 2 games against Minnesota, so they're not going away entirely. Baltimore just played yesterday, and they're traveling from St. Louis out to the Pacific Coast. This is a big-time negative for Baltimore. They're at a rest disadvantage, and they're having to go Central Time Zone to Pacific Time Zone for a 9:40 p.m. Eastern game. You know, I talk about that. When a team has to travel west, it can mess with their biological clock. It's going to be like they're playing 11 p.m. based on, by the end of the game, based on what they're used to. So I don't think that's really that good for Baltimore here. Plus, the A's have the rest edge. Of course, the A's are a terrible team and maybe the worst team in baseball. So can we really back them here? Can we actually back Jacob Lopez here? I don't think I want to do it. I mean, I definitely would not back their bullpen, even though their bullpen is rested. Baltimore used 2 guys out of their bullpen, but I don't really think they used their better relievers yesterday. And I think what was a loss, although it was kind of a close loss. The A's bullpen, even if they're rested, they're very bad. They're the worst in baseball, even though they're second worst whip. They're a bad bullpen. Baltimore's number 10 in bullpen. So, yeah, Baltimore still has a bullpen edge here. The A's are 14th in offense. The Orioles are 16th. Both, I guess you could just say mediocre offenses. We're in an offensive ballpark here, though. Brandon Young is getting the start for Baltimore. He's been decent, 3.5 ERA, but his 1.36 whip does indicate that his ERA should be higher than it is. He's not quite as good on the road, although he doesn't have extreme splits, but a 3.67 road ERA is higher than what it is at home. He's not pitching as well recently. This month he has a 14-9 strikeout walk ratio, so he seems to be coming out of form a little bit here, although 2 of the starts are against Tampa, so it's not really that easy, but he also struggled against Anaheim a few starts back, which is not that great of a sign. He's kind of been bad over his last 5 starts, and he's given up too many hits, too. So Young is kind of out of form right now. His hit rate is 1 per inning, which isn't great, really. His walk rate is kind of okay. Strikeout rate is a bit too low, so I don't really love this. Although as far as pitching in the A's stadium, he's not a huge home run conducive pitcher, and he's not a huge fly ball pitcher. He's got not an even split, like a little bit more fly ball heavy, but not extreme. So how is he going to pitch here? I don't know, man. He's got only a 2.2 strikeout walk ratio, which isn't really that good. His strikeout per 9 is in the 7s, which isn't really that great either. His numbers against the A's only have 8 at-bats against him. 4 hitters have faced him. Jonah Heim does like all the damage. He has all 3 hits against him with a couple of doubles, but that does result in a 375 average, 1,069 OPS, 2-1 strikeout walk ratio. So maybe not the greatest matchup for Young here, although he'd be unfamiliar to some of the hitters there. Jacob Lopez is pitching for the A's. This guy is hard to figure out because he's very streaky, dude. Like last year, this year, he has stretches where he's just absolutely terrible, and then he has stretches where he looks awesome. And it's like, what are you going to get out of him here? I really have no idea. His overall numbers are not that good. 4.98 ERA, 1.48 whip is pretty bad. He's not as good at home. 5.48 home ERA. Although his batting average allowed at home is actually better. But we know how bad this stadium is for pitchers. However, Lopez, even if in his recent home starts, he's allowed 2 or fewer runs in every start going all the way back into like early July, although some of those starts weren't deep outings, but he is pitching a lot better right now. And he's got a 29-5 strikeout walk ratio this month. And relatively few hits allowed too. So he's pitching a lot better right now. He currently is in good form. His hit rate is still kind of not that great on the season. His walk rate's still not really that good. His strikeout rate is okay. Lopez doesn't throw hard. So when you see all these high strikeout numbers, it's because he's commanding his breaking pitch as well. Like, he mostly has this curveball that's really hard to hit. His strikeout walk ratio is still really bad, though, below 2. His strikeout per 9, not good. Well, actually, it's not bad, 8.6, but it did drop from the 11 that he posted last year. So he had a lot of strikeouts going on last year. His numbers against Baltimore are pretty good. In 22 at-bats, 227 average, 625 OPS, 6-1 strikeout walk ratio. I'm going to lean the A's here, man, but only do it in the first 5. There's no way you can back this bullpen. The money seems to lean Baltimore here, but I don't think either team is going anywhere. I think we know that. Oh, the A's are actually undecided right now, so maybe scratch that. But if Lopez, I would say you have to wait to see who the A's pitcher is, but I think if it is Lopez, I do lean to the A's in the first 5. 73% of tickets, 92% of the cash on Baltimore, though. They dropped from minus 145 all the way down to about a pick 'em. So I think if you're going to play the A's in the first 5, you're probably going to be looking at playing the A's as a favorite in the first 5, but I think that might be the right way to play this game. I don't know who it's going to be, though. Like, if it's some spot starter or something, or a bullpen game, then yeah, I don't think you should do it. But if it's Lopez, I would definitely consider the A's here in the first 5. I think they have the better spot. Young is not in good form right now. Lopez, if it is him, is in better form. So that's what I would do. And there's money coming in on the under for whatever reason. The total's not that high for an A's game at 9.5. I don't know what to really think about that. Although I think if you're going to try to play the under, I think you should only do it in the first 5. Arizona, San Francisco, we lost on the over in the game yesterday. San Francisco put up a bunch of runs in the 8th inning and tried to tease us there, and it came within 1 run of a push. That game, it was a loss, though. I mean, there wasn't a lot of hitting going on in that game. It was a 2-1 game, I think, going into the 8th inning. So, yeah, it was bad. Not going to win every game. Arizona should be the more motivated team here because they're trying to make the playoffs. They're in a wild card race here. San Francisco might show up still, though, to try to play spoiler here, and they did win last night. And I think the starting pitching matchup in this game does favor San Francisco here. So I don't really want Arizona in this one, even though they did lose yesterday. Arizona used 3 relief pitchers. I don't like San Francisco's bullpen. They use 3 as well, but they're a little bit less rested. Arizona's the better bullpen. They're ranked 8th. However, as I always say, they're not that good. But San Francisco's ranked 24th, and San Francisco grades out worse basically across the board. Arizona's ERA is better, although only by .02. But they still got the better bullpen. Arizona does have the better hitting as well, in my opinion, although they're 21st right now. San Francisco's 20th. But given what Arizona's looked like since the All-Star break and who they have in their lineup, and Marte is back, by the way. Ketel Marte, whatever his name is, he left the team when they were in Boston for whatever reason, but apparently he's back. He's totally schizo, dude. I don't know why any team would want that guy, but I think he is back in Arizona's lineup right now. Arizona's going with Cole Drake in this game, though. I would say he's a young dude, although he's 26. He hasn't pitched in the majors much, but he has not had a good season here. 5.4 ERA, 1.56 whip. This is his first major league experience, though. He's only made 4 starts. So maybe he'll get better, but he hasn't been good in any of them, really. And he's gotten worse, pretty much. Like, his first start was the best one. The only one where he went 5 innings. It was against the A's. It was at home, of course. Although it's still a hitter-friendly park in Arizona, but we're in San Francisco in this one, and that is a pitcher-friendly ballpark. Drake's numbers are still not good, though. He's got a high hit rate. His walk rate is fine-ish. Strikeout rate, not really great. So I don't know. His strikeout walk numbers in the 2s. Strikeout per 9 is only 7. None of that is really that good. Drake, I think he's been back in the minors, and they're calling him back up, so maybe he'll have changed some things. It looks like he hasn't pitched in the majors since early August. San Francisco's never faced him, so maybe he does have an advantage there, the unfamiliarity edge, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. Blade Tidwell is pitching for San Francisco. He's kind of a converted reliever, but he's still young, and he looked good last time out against the Red Sox. His numbers overall are good. 3.58 ERA, 1.16 whip. Worse ERA at home, 3.71, but his opponent batting average is significantly better at home, 179. So he is actually pretty good at home. Last time at home, he wasn't good, though, against the Rockies. Overall, he's got a decent hit rate. His strikeout rate is somewhat okay, but his walk rate is still too high. So his strikeout-walk ratio is not very good. It's in the 2s. Strikeout per 9 is okay. He improved on that this year, so it's in the 7s, which isn't horrible. Tidwell hasn't really been seen by Arizona because he hasn't pitched much in the majors. They're 1-for-7 off him. Arenado has the only hit against him, and only Arenado, Kepler, and Nootbaar have faced him. 2 strikeouts, 1 walk in there. Tidwell does have some unfamiliarity here as well. I'm going to lead San Francisco first 5 here. I think Tidwell should have the upper hand over Drake, although I think Arizona has the bullpen edge here. So I would say San Francisco first 5. Where are they at? Money doesn't agree. Money's coming in on Arizona. 54% of tickets, 94% of the cash on Arizona as the more motivated team, I guess. But you're having to lay a price on the road, man, and around minus 130 almost, although it's dropped a little bit. I don't think I would want to lay. With Cole Drake on the mound, do you really think Arizona should be a favorite like that on the road? I know San Francisco's bad, but I don't know. I think I would take the shot with San Francisco in the first 5 if I was going to play this one. The money's coming in slightly towards the over 8 as well there. I don't have a great feel for the total in that one, but yeah, I think San Francisco first 5 makes more sense. It'll probably be around a pick'em price, though, because I think the odds makers probably know that's where San Francisco's bigger advantage is. All right, let's look at WNBA, and then I'm going to try to cruise through the NFL preseason. I don't know how that's going to go. There's like 10 games. I do have a WNBA play in the first game. Well, there are 2 games coming up first. We have 3 games with huge spreads here. And we're going to take the underdog and the one that has the biggest total, which I know a lot of times doesn't work out. But last time we took an underdog with a low total, and that didn't work out either. So we're going to take Portland plus 12.5 here and fade the Atlanta Dream. We're going to fade Angel Reese here, man. Hopefully Angel Reese will waste time missing a bunch of her own layups here, but I don't think this is a good spot for Atlanta here. Atlanta's returning home from the Pacific Coast, and I know it is easier to go west to east, as I always say, but even so, they've been on the road since the 18th, so they've been on the road for a long road trip out on the Pacific Coast. They swept the road trip. They pretty much only faced one good team on the road trip, though, which is Vegas, and they won that game by double digits. Now Atlanta's coming home. I know Portland's not very good, but Atlanta didn't play that many good teams on the road trip either, and they're probably feeling very high on themselves, right? Like, yes, successful road trip. We feel good. Now they have to get back to home life, whatever. They've been off since Monday, but even so, I think it's a distraction. And plus, that extra time off, you don't want that when you're on a 4-game win streak. Like, right, rest, in my opinion, rest usually halts whatever momentum you have going on. So you want rest when you're playing poorly. You don't want rest when you're playing well. And they're playing well, even though they did play a bunch of games kind of in quick succession there. So maybe the rest could help them a little bit. But even so, I'm rambling. It's a return home spot. It's a negative spot typically. It's a distraction spot. But even worse than that, they have a big NBA TV game up next against the best team in the league, Minnesota. So I think that could be a look ahead too. So I think this is basically a sandwich spot. The return home, which is a distraction, plus Minnesota on deck. I don't see them paying attention to Portland here, even though they did actually lose here to Portland back on July 11th. Portland actually came in here and beat them by 11, and that wasn't even a particularly bad spot for Atlanta there. So I don't know what happened in this game. Like, did Portland actually outplay them? No. I mean, it was a major outlier, so I do worry about that a little bit. The rebound battle was pretty close, though. But Portland definitely, they hit a ton of threes in the game, so it was a big outlier. And they shot ridiculously well, even though Atlanta had way more shots. So, yeah, that worries me a little bit as far as Portland is concerned. We know they're not the better team here, but we only need them to come within a 12.5-point spread here, man. And Portland, they only have 1 day fewer rest here, and they're already in the middle of a road trip here. So they're only coming in from Dallas. So they're only making travel. It's a travel spot where they're only making a trip 1 time zone over. And they've been off since Tuesday, so they have 1 fewer day of rest here. Yeah, I think it's a much better spot for them. I think they're going to show up. They're going to try to at least put in an effort to try to split the road trip here. And yeah, that's all I got here. Portland, by the way, did lose at home to Atlanta by 20 the other time they played them. But whatever. I'm not really focused too much on those prior results because they weren't really that recent. So when they're not that recent, I kind of ignore it a little bit. But yeah, I think the spot sets up for Portland. It's a return home spot for Atlanta, plus a look ahead for Atlanta. Let's fade them in this one. The money doesn't seem to agree. How could Portland be a public side here, man? There's no way. 91% of tickets on them, 90% of the cash. There's no way. I do not agree with that. I don't understand why that's happening in the market. I know the total's not that low. It's the highest of the day. It's around 180, but I say we still do it. We're getting them as a big underdog in a spot where I don't even consider Atlanta to be that good offensively. Like they're somewhat more of a defensive team in my opinion. And Portland, I know their defense isn't good, but they've been a little bit better recently at least. So hopefully we can get some lower. Hopefully this will be lower scoring, even though the odds makers are kind of saying it won't be. And the money is kind of indicating towards the over. But whatever. It's all about the spot. We're going to take Portland. Got to get the WNBA back on track, man. And probably the only way to do that is to just start firing every time I see a spot that I like. And if I'm good enough, hopefully the more wins than losses, hopefully can gradually pull us out of the small hole that we're in here. The WNBA hole, that's not good. A lot of holes I don't want to go near here. Connecticut at Indiana. This is a ridiculous mismatch here. Indiana's a massive favorite, like one of the bigger favorites you'll see in the WNBA. Even though Indiana's not the best team in the league, they're considered to be probably like a top 5 team. Indiana just smoked the sky in their last game. That sounds weird. They're returning home from a road trip, though. Although they've had a bunch of days off. They've been off since Sunday, but it's still a road trip return. And do they really pay that much attention to Connecticut here? Probably not. So I don't think it's a great spot for Indiana. They were away since the 16th, almost a 2-week sort of road trip here. Well, it was a bit over. I guess it was like a week-long road trip, and since then they've just been off. I don't think that's a great thing, though. They don't have a big game up next, so they do have to go to Toronto. But it looks like they have a bunch of time off, so I don't know what the deal is here. Like, they have 2 weeks off. Is there another break in the WNBA season? I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but whatever. Maybe there is another break. I don't know. Connecticut, bad team. They're on my bad side. They played better than it looked like in that game against the Valkyries, where we took a loss on the show there. You know, Connecticut tried to come back in that backdoor situation, but they were already behind by way too much. Even though they put up more points than Golden State did towards the end of that game, it wasn't enough. Statistically, Connecticut definitely could have covered that one. They had way more possessions in the game. I'm kind of pissed about it. They have way less rest here, though, because they played on Wednesday, but they're starting a road trip. They should be focused on Atlanta here, or excuse me, on Indiana here. Indiana's got the rest edge, but I think the spot is better for Connecticut, starting a road trip over Indiana, returning from one. The money doesn't agree. The money is laying the points with Indiana. 58% of the tickets and 92% of the cash on Indiana. 72% of the cash, on Indiana. 58% of the tickets. 17.5 is the number there. Yeah, it's a really high number. I would take the points with Connecticut. I mean, I think at the very least, you pretty much know there's not going to be any value laying a huge spread like that with Indiana. Feels like a key number because it's about to be football season. By the way, some of those football games last night were crazy, dude. The Morehead State game where they got upset. I don't think they were that big of a favorite, but they got upset in a crazy 3 overtime game. And then there was a big upset with West Florida, who just moved up to Division I. And we'll talk about them in basketball because they'll be in the A-Sun in basketball, and I cover all the basketball conferences. I don't cover FCS football, though. But West Florida pulled off like a 20-point upset in their first game as a Division I team, and it was at home. I think there was a lot of excitement around that game. I forget, they upset Southern Illinois, I think is who it was. Anyway, yeah, so the money is indicating against me on that Portland-Atlanta game. I don't agree with it in this Indiana game either. I would lean towards taking the points here. I know it is another high total there in the high 170s, but I think the spot is a little bit better for Connecticut, although they're at a bit of a rest disadvantage there, definitely. Toronto at Vegas. Toronto is, dude, what is this team doing? Toronto, I mean, they're one of the teams that has been in the mix, like I don't know, like going against Sophie Cunningham and whatever, and Toronto now has introduced 2 new mascots. Dude, this Toronto team, they're an expansion team. This is their first year. They're a bad team. They're not playing well. And they're focused on putting out 2 new mascots for the team that both have non-binary pronouns. That's seriously what they're doing. Do you really think that's going to get people to watch this fucking league? There's no way. So I hope they get their asses handed to them tonight because they deserve it. This is the most stupid franchise in the WNBA. They're worse than Minnesota. At least Minnesota is a good team. Toronto is a joke. They're not a good team, and they're focusing on pronoun mascots. How about you focus on winning some games first, you dumb fucks? It's so fucking stupid. Good luck playing Vegas tonight, by the way. Vegas is clearly the way better team here. And Vegas just beat Toronto on the road, but that does mean I lean against Vegas here. It is a zigzag spot. Vegas just played Toronto and beat them. That game was actually in Vancouver because Toronto played, I think, multiple games in Vancouver. I have no idea why. Now Vegas is back home after that. I don't think they're going to take Toronto that seriously, man. I mean, it is what it is. Vegas, it's kind of a get-in, get-out type of game here. Do I think Vegas will lose? No. I mean, they're a huge favorite here, but Toronto could definitely cover and not win here. Vegas just went in and beat them by 10 in Vancouver, whatever. There are some zigzag components to this. If you look at what happened in this game, Vegas shot pretty well. The number of field goal attempts was very similar, but Vegas had a better shooting percentage. And Vegas did go to the line way more. The rebound battle was close. Vegas only won it by 1, although they kind of dominated the game lead-wise. They led pretty much the whole way. And it's not a good sign that Toronto hit 5 more threes and still lost the game by double digits, so that's not a good sign. So it's not all good for Toronto here, but I will still lean to Toronto in somewhat of a zigzag here. I believe Toronto, that was the last game they played too. Let me see. No, Toronto actually lost to Seattle in between the two. So the Aces actually do have a rest advantage here, but Toronto might still bounce back from that. That was an ugly performance against Seattle. That's how bad Toronto is, though. Losing by double digits at Seattle. Yeah, great. But people are going to look at that and think, oh, there's no way they're going to do anything against Vegas here now. The money doesn't agree with me on this either. The money's coming in on Vegas, laying like 14 points here, or 13 and a half, I guess is where most of the books have it. 68% of tickets, 91% of the cash on Vegas. The totals dropped a little bit into the mid-170s, but yeah, I would lean towards taking it with Toronto, taking the points, even though they're a stupid franchise, and I hope they lose, but whatever. Not a play for me. And then Washington and LA. I was looking at this one kind of hard. LA just, they had kind of a close game against the Dream, though, in their last game against Atlanta. So they're staying at home, though, and that was 4 days ago. So LA might be up for this game, but that was tough, man. It was a game where they were kind of hanging around in this game. You know what I mean? Like, by the end of it, though, they were kind of out of it. So I don't really want to say it was like a close finish, but it was fairly close going into the fourth quarter. So they played a pretty competitive game there. Maybe not the greatest spot for them, but we're talking about Washington here. It was a very good defensive team. Maybe not a good spot to play Washington because they're on the road here as a favorite, and that's probably not the where you really want them. And they're on a back-to-back. That's why I was looking at LA here. That's got to be factored into the line a little bit, but you're still going to get LA as an underdog here. And I think that is the way to look here. I mean, Washington played yesterday at Phoenix. They also played on Tuesday and Sunday and Friday and Wednesday. So look at, this is a rarity in the WNBA. They're on a back-to-back, a third game in 4 days, fourth game in 6 days, fifth game in 8 days, all in different cities. Very, very difficult. You don't even see this in the NBA that much. Like, a spot like this will come up maybe for each team, maybe like a couple times in the NBA season. And they played another game at home right before that, too. So this Washington team, very bad rest situation for them, and they beat LA by 10 at home right before that whole stretch started. So I don't think they're really going to focus on LA. They don't have a big game next, though. They have the break, and then they're playing Chicago. And by the way, that's the other thing as far as this break that's coming up. Atlanta has Minnesota coming up in 2 days, so that's a look-ahead spot there. Then they go on that break. So Atlanta does have another game, that Minnesota game. That's why I think it is a legitimate look-ahead. If that Minnesota game was after the break, I wouldn't like this as much, but it's coming up in 2 days. But anyway, this game, I would play LA or not play the game. Washington, they're not a team you want to lay points with like this. It's kind of a low total in the 160s. That indicates more towards the dog. The money coming in on the under, but the money's coming in towards Washington. And yes, Washington, they're definitely the better defense and the better team. There's no question about that. 82% of the tickets on LA. I don't buy that. I don't buy that the public is actually playing LA here. 94% of the cash on Washington. I don't buy it, man. It's a horrible rest spot for Washington, as I just showed you. And you're going to get 5.5 points with LA at home here. That's the way I would play it. I would take the points with LA. All right, let's try to get through. Should I take another break and then do the NFL preseason? There's kind of a lot to get through, although I try to kind of cruise through it quickly here. Yeah, I'll take one more break. I'll be right back. Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday. And yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. All right, NFL preseason here. Bunch of games here. 10 games, I think, is what we have here today. I was correct about Pittsburgh covering yesterday, although they blew the game. I was correct about Cleveland, who won by a lot, and probably because they didn't play Shedeur Sanders. Look at that. One game they don't use Sanders, and they win easily. Dylan Gabriel actually looked really good in that game, even though I don't think he's good either. And then I think I wasn't right about the other two, though. I mean, NFL preseason is chaotic, man. You got to figure out motivation and quarterback rotation. Here, Baltimore looks like they're trying to win. Like, they've won both their preseason games. They have a new coach, so a lot of times the new coach will try to win. They're going to, it seems like they play Washington every preseason. Baltimore is coming back from Minnesota here in this one. Or actually, I forget what order these games are played in. I think that's right. They're coming back from Minnesota here, whatever. I don't even remember that game happening. Now, Washington, Dan Quinn doesn't care about the preseason. They're 1-2, they're 1-1, in the preseason. As far as Washington's quarterback rotation, I don't think we're going to see Jaden Daniels here. I don't even know if they've used him in the other ones. If the starters come into these games at all, they're not going to be in for very long. Marcus Mariota is questionable, so I think Washington is going to be using Hartman and Kaliakmanis for the most part in this game. Hartman has not looked good in preseason, and Kaliakmanis has actually looked pretty good. So we'll see both of them here. I don't know if that's good or not, but the fact that they're trying to test them out means they might be trying to do some things on offense here. For Baltimore, Lamar Jackson likely not going to play here. Tyler Huntley is a very experienced backup. For most of his career, it seems like he's been Jackson's backup, so he does understand the Baltimore system, even though they have a new coach here. So he's got experience when he's out there at least. And then Joe Fagnano has looked awesome, actually, in preseason. So he's probably going to get a big look in this game because they want to see what they have in him. So it's, the quarterback rotation I think is decent on both sides. I think I kind of like Baltimore here. The money does seem to agree with this. They're -3, -3.5 here. 64% of tickets, 93% of cash on them. I think they have the more motivated coach here. And, the quarterback rotation seems a little bit better for Baltimore here because the the guy that they aren't really trying to see anything from, Huntley, is an experienced quarterback, at least, that might go out there and do a good job anyway. So that's what I think there. Atlanta and Miami, I mean, these two teams, probably two of the teams that are getting made fun of the most out of all the teams in the NFL. Atlanta did win, though, in a blowout. I told you, man, after Atlanta was the laughing stock after that game against the Broncos, I told you Atlanta was a look against that in that game against the Colts, and they wiped the Colts. Really good performance from Atlanta, but where does the reality lie? I don't know, probably somewhere between the two, although Atlanta, with the new coach, Stefanski, I don't think he's a good coach, but they're trying to win under him, it looks like, at the very least in preseason. As far as Atlanta's depth chart, I don't know about this QB situation here, man. Tua has not looked good. Penix might be hurt. So you might see a lot from the other two guys. Cooper Rush, who's, you know what he is at this point. He's a kind of an NFL veteran at this point. He's been around for a while. He's experienced, so he'll give you some experience out there. But Jack Strand, I think he's going to wind up being Atlanta's starter at some point, man. He's the Division II quarterback, and he looks pretty good. He's kind of been the talk of the preseason so far. So it's interesting. You might see a lot of Strand in this one. And then let's see. I'm not quite sure. I don't want to totally guess what these guys are going to do. And maybe they want to give Tua another look here and give him more chances. Who knows? Miami, they have not looked good in preseason. They're 0-2. They have a new coach there. You'd figure the new coach would be motivated. They have looked real bad, scoring 7-3 in their two preseason games. But a lot of times when that happens, that team is worth a look in their next game. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants to lose like that. Nobody wants to be that bad. Miami might be a very bad team this year, though, man. We'll see what happens. But I don't hate their top two QBs here, Willis and Quinn Ewers. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Maybe Ewers isn't really that good, but we'll see. And then they also have Cam Miller and Mark Gronowski. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, it's not their best quarterback rotation. And I don't know if Willis is getting into this game or not, because he will be their starter at the start of the season. Ewers, I think they want to keep taking a look at him because they drafted him last year as possibly one of their next QBs that they're going to have there. Atlanta's favored at -4.5. The money is coming in on Miami. Actually, Atlanta's at 3.5. My mistake. ESPN said 4.5, but 3.5 looks like it's the predominant number. 59% of tickets on Atlanta, 59% of the cash on Miami. So the money is coming in on Miami. By the way, of course, as I usually mention, we have a lot of low totals here. They're all in the 30s. It's preseason. The games tend to be lower scoring. And as I always say with the totals, I think it depends on how vanilla is a team going on offense. If a team just doesn't have any quarterbacks, they're really trying to see what they have, and they're all right for the regular season to start, you know what I mean? Possibly Seattle might be one of those teams. You might not see a whole lot out of that team's quarterbacks, you know what I mean? So that's the type of situation where maybe unders make more sense. Anyway, this game, I mean, the money's saying Miami. I don't know, man. I mean, they've looked so bad that maybe they are worth a look here. I don't really love their quarterback rotation, though. Even though you can make fun of Atlanta's Strand is fairly good. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe Miami is the right side there, but that game's difficult to figure out. And it's, again, preseason, I don't do anything with it, really. I'm just talking about it. Carolina against Houston. Carolina's played 3 preseason games because they played the Hall of Fame game. They won that game. They lost to Buffalo, and then they beat Jacksonville in their last game. And now they're coming back home. This will be their only home preseason game. So maybe Carolina does want to show up here. Houston, they look like they might kind of just be going through the motions here. They should have, I mean, I don't know if they should have, because Mendoza really helped them out with that bad pick 6 in that game against the Raiders, but Houston blew the game late against the Raiders. Houston looked like they didn't really show up against the Chargers, and now they're going on the road here. I don't know. Houston should have a good season here, but to me it seems like they're not really focusing on preseason, although their coach Ryans actually tends to try to win in preseason, so I don't really know what they're doing here. Maybe after 2 losses, maybe they do want to try to win a preseason game, though. I don't think that you're going to see much of Stroud. Stroud actually played in the last game, I'm pretty sure. He was in there for a little while, so he's probably not going to be in this game. It's going to be Davis Mills for the most part, but Houston, they know what Mills is. He's been their backup for forever, so they don't need to see anything from him. They got Rippin as their other quarterback. He'll probably get a look in this game too, but I think he's a guy that's been around for a while too, so I don't think Houston's going to do anything crazy here. Like, to me, it doesn't seem like they're going to be that motivated, really. Like, they don't have any quarterbacks to try out. So I think they're going to be going pretty vanilla in this one, it looks like to me. Carolina might try harder here. I mean, who knows? Even though they've been trying in their preseason games. Don't know if we're going to see Bryce Young. Haynes King has been hurt, and he looked good in that Hall of Fame game or whatever. I don't know how much he's played since then. He's an interesting dual-threat QB, though, but if it's going to be mostly Kenny Pickett here, I don't think Carolina's going to do much with him, man. I mean, we know what he is at this point. He's been around for a while. He's not the greatest, so I don't know. This game might actually be more of an under type of game here. The money is somewhat coming in on the over, although the over is public. Looks like there was a little bit of movement towards the under early. It's in the mid-30s here, so you're not on any key number here. Maybe an under in that game. The money looks like it's indicated towards Houston, which I don't really love that. 57% of tickets, 54% of the cash on Carolina. Houston's favored. You'd think Houston would be public, but I guess the public is so fickle. They're like, well, Houston's looked bad in preseason, even though you got to think everybody thinks Houston's going to be the better team once the season starts, but maybe not because the public doesn't like these defense-oriented teams, and that's what Houston is. Carolina's kind of the flashier team, like offensively and whatever, so I don't know. Money indicating towards Houston. I don't have a great read on it, man. I think maybe an under in that game, but I got nothing. An under might be correlated more towards Houston, though, because they want to just kind of play defense, and to me, it seems like they're not going to do much on offense there. We do have New York, the Frank Sinatra game. Giants and Jets are playing each other, both playing in their home stadium. Who's the home team? Apparently, the Jets are considered the home team here. Jets looked good last time they beat the Steelers, so the Jets have actually looked okay in preseason. Maybe the Jets are actually not as bad as we think they are, man. I don't know. The Giants, they're 1-1 in the preseason as well. They had a good win over the Dolphins last time, although the Dolphins look like they really blow. So I don't know if that really matters. As far as the rotations here, Jackson Dart, I don't know. Did he play in the last game? I'm not sure. Let me look at their schedule here real quick to see if we can gauge anything from that. It looks like it was a lot of Winston. I don't know. If Dart played, he didn't play that much. But, of course, oh, no, he did. That's right. We saw him because he got sacked, and everybody was like, oh, Dart, taking another hit. I'm like, that was in the first preseason game, I think. I'm like, yeah. Like, of course, he took a hit when the entire offense couldn't block anybody. I don't know. So probably Dart won't be in this game because he is kind of an injury risk. Jameis Winston has looked pretty good, I guess, in the preseason, but I don't know. They don't really need to see anything out of Winston, right? Although he is a gunslinger. So when he's out there, he's going to be trying to have fun and chucking the ball around, probably. And Jim Harbaugh, you know that he does have a tendency to try to win preseason games. Or, excuse me, John Harbaugh. But once he lost his long streak that he had, he kind of stopped doing that. They got Brandon Allen and Jake Hayner as well as their other quarterbacks. I don't know what's going to go on with any of that. But yeah, the quarterback rotation, I don't think is that conducive to a really high scoring game out of the Giants here. And Dart probably won't be in the game. The Jets, I don't know if we're going to see Geno Smith or not here. I don't like who the Jets have here as their quarterbacks. They'll be trying them out to see what they have with Club Nick Cook. I don't know if any of them have really looked that good in the preseason, though. I mean, maybe I'm not paying enough attention. Yeah, I mean, we don't see insane stats coming out of these games here, so I don't know. I don't think I like this Jets quarterback rotation here, man. This game might be another under type of game. The money is definitely indicating on the under in this one. 55% of tickets, 92% of the cash on the under here. Money indicating on the Giants, 58% of tickets, 89% of the cash on them. They're -3. I kind of agree with both. I think the Giants do still have the better QB rotation, even if it is just Winston chucking the ball around. Winston's definitely a talent. Jets, I don't know if we like any of these young guys they have in their rotation here. But an under makes some sense. I think the game might be a little bit vanilla as far as the offense on both sides. Tampa Bay and Jacksonville. The Battle of Florida, I guess, or whatever. One of the battles of Florida. Jacksonville's 1-1. They just lost pretty badly to the Panthers. Maybe they do kind of want to bounce back here, but I don't know, man. I mean, how much does this game really matter to these two teams? Who knows? Tampa Bay has won both of their preseason games, so they've looked pretty good. You know, I mean, maybe they take a step back here in this game. Tampa Bay, I don't know if they've used Mayfield yet in the preseason. I think they might have used him already, so I don't know if we're going to see him at all here. But you look at their rotation is, I don't think, very good. Jake Browning, we know he was a backup for Burrow for a while, kind of a lifetime backup. He was bad enough that Cincinnati went out and got Joe Flacco, so don't think he's good. Basilak, I guess, has looked good at times in preseason action. And then they might try to take more of a look at Jalen Daniels, not Jaden Daniels. Jalen Daniels, who Jaden Daniels will probably sue for having a similar name. Jalen Daniels out of Kansas is a recent draft pick from Tampa Bay here, so they might have him out there, taking an extended look of him. I still don't like this QB rotation, though. And they're going up against Jacksonville, who I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is. I think Lawrence might have already played in the preseason too, but I could be wrong about that. Behind him, they just have Nick Mullins, and I have no idea who Carter Bradley and Joey Aguilar are. Maybe it's just that I don't know enough about who these QBs are, but this again seems like maybe another low-scoring type of affair here. The money seems to be kind of backing the over, though. 69% of tickets, 90% of the cash on the over. I think I would probably slightly lean under in this one. Total is one of the lower totals out there. It's still above that somewhat key 34.5, though. 34.5, 35 there. Money coming in on Tampa as well. 52% of tickets on Jacksonville, 68% of the cash on Tampa. Tampa is a 2.5-point favorite. I don't know, man. I don't have a great read on that game either. I don't have a great read on most of these. New Orleans at Dallas. New Orleans got smoked in their last game by the Rams, so they might bounce back. They've looked pretty bad, actually. They've lost both games in the preseason, got killed by the Rams, and everybody's kind of making fun of New Orleans after that. Maybe New Orleans will bounce back from that, although I don't know if they're really playing Shuck in the preseason here. He's going to be their starter, and I think he's actually good. But I think we've seen a lot of Spencer Rattler in the preseason, but we know what he is at this point, so you don't really need to take an extended look at him. And Zach Wilson has been in the league for forever. We know what he's going to give you, too. So I don't really love this New Orleans quarterback rotation. And then Hunter Deckers, I don't know exactly what they're going to do with him. Dallas, I think Dallas has actually looked good in the preseason. I know they beat Seattle, and their defense held Seattle way down, which is kind of surprising. And then Dallas smoked Arizona in their last game. So you have an 0-2 team against a 2-0 team. And I think maybe you do want to look towards the 0-2 team when you have a situation like that. Maybe Dallas has looked too good in preseason. I don't know if Dak has been out there at all, but the thing about Dallas is I don't know if they've figured out who their backup is. I think they're still trying to figure out who their backup quarterback is between Milton III and Sam Howell. I think they both look pretty good at times during the preseason, so they might be getting a lot of action in this game too and playing well again too. So I don't really want New Orleans here because I think the quarterback rotation is actually better for Dallas here. Let me see. Money is indicated towards Dallas, even though they're like a 2.5-point favorite, 3-point favorite. It looks probably too easy to play Dallas here. 68% of tickets on them, but 94% of the cash on them as well. I don't think I disagree, even though usually I want to kind of look towards the team that's looked really bad, like New Orleans coming off a disgusting 34-0 loss and not having won a preseason game. I don't know. The QB rotation is just better for Dallas, so those are the things that are in conflict there. Arizona and Green Bay. Arizona did just lose to Dallas. Like I said, they played 3 preseason games already because they played the Hall of Fame game. They're only 1-2. Carson Beck is actually hurt right now for Arizona. He looked good in the Hall of Fame game. I think he might be good eventually, but he's been hurt since then, so I don't know if he's going to play here, which might mean Arizona goes a little bit more vanilla here because I don't really think Brissett's going to get out there. I mean, he's been around for forever. You know what he is at this point. He's already been in this system for a while. Gardner Minshew might be out. Gardner Minshew the second. He might be out there for a bit. I like Minshew, man. I mean, he's a veteran, but when he goes out there, he might be trying to have a little fun. Trying to win the game. And then Keaton Slovis, I guess, has looked somewhat good at times. So you're probably going to mostly see those two guys out there for Arizona. I don't know how good that really is. Green Bay, Jordan Love was out there last week in their game on Friday, I believe. So he played a little bit, but they've been using Kyle McCord a lot. They beat Denver last time, and they looked really good in that game against Denver. Maybe too good, but again, it's preseason. Jordan Love was out there for a little bit. I don't think he's going to play in this game. They got him some playing time last week. They don't want to get him hurt. And then it's Tyrod Taylor, who definitely is experienced and is a dual threat. So he at least might be doing some crazy stuff when he's out there. They've taken that extended look at Kyle McCord, though, because they might like him as maybe more of their backup. Like, they might be still trying to figure out who their backup really is here. So they might be giving those quarterbacks some crazier plays for that reason. The money's coming in on Arizona, though. 53% of tickets on Green Bay, 55% of the cash on Arizona. Arizona's actually, they opened as a favorite, and now Green Bay is kind of a 1-point favorite here, but I think it does look kind of too easy to play Green Bay, the team that everybody kind of knows is the better team. But it's not going to be Jordan Love out there, you know. I don't know if Carson Beck is supposed to get some more play. Like, is he actually going to be back here? I don't know. Money's coming in on the over. The over kind of makes sense in this game, actually. The total is one of the somewhat higher ones. It's still below that key number of 37. 62% of tickets, 76% of the cash on the over. I think both teams might be trying to see more from their quarterbacks here, so maybe the over does make some sense in this one. Other than that, I think Arizona, maybe a slight lean for me towards Arizona there, just because they didn't look that good last week and Green Bay did. Seattle at Kansas City, as I kind of already alluded to, this seems like an under, and it is a really low total, but I don't think either team is going to be doing a whole lot here. Seattle, I think they're just trying to get ready for the season. They've lost both their preseason games. It is what it is. I mean, I don't think they care that much. Seattle's quarterback rotation, Drew Lock has played pretty well in the preseason, but he's been their backup for a while. He's had a long career, so I don't think they need to see much out of him. They're probably going to play Jalen Milroe more to see what they try to see what they have out of him. I don't know if Darnold has played at all in the preseason, but I don't know if we're going to see him at all. Probably not. Milroe, they probably want to get him more time just to try to start developing him more, but he hasn't looked that good, though. Like, he could definitely run. He's a dual threat quarterback, but his quarterback skills have not been very good. He threw a couple of picks last game. Hasn't really looked that good. So I don't know, man. I don't think it looks that good for Seattle here. In Kansas City, they're not really going to be doing anything either. Like, Mahomes is not going to be out there. You wouldn't imagine. He's listed as questionable, too. Like, they're trying to get ready for the regular season, so I don't think you're going to see him. You might see some other offensive players for them not take the field here. Justin Fields is an experienced backup, though, and he's played well in the preseason, but I don't know if they really need to do much with him. They already know what they have with him. And then Nussmeier, they might want to, I think Nussmeier is actually going to play the majority of this game because he's their draft pick this year. They want to see what they got in him out of LSU, but he has not looked that good in preseason. And then they do have Oladokun or Oladokun. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He played a little bit last year after Mahomes got hurt, but he has not been very good. So I don't know. This Kansas City rotation doesn't really look that good to me, especially if it's going to be a lot of Nussmeier here, and maybe he'll be good eventually. I don't know, man, but this game does seem like an under to me. The money seems to be indicating that way. 64% of tickets on the over, 53% of the cash on the under. Total's really low. It's below that key number of 34, though, so that's kind of a problem. I think if you wanted the under, you already missed the boat on it because it opened at 36.5, and at anything 34 or above that key number of 34, that would have been awesome. 33.5, I mean, you're losing on that key number there. I don't love it, and it's the lowest total on the board, but there is a reason for that. Some real money has come in on the under in that one, but definitely late to the party there. A lot of times, these games will move, man, especially these totals. 58% of the tickets are on Seattle, 71% of the cash on KC. So the money backing KC here, they're at about -1 here. I kind of agree with that. I mean, the public kind of likes Seattle because they won the Super Bowl last year. Of course, the public probably doesn't like what they see. Both teams have lost both preseason games, by the way. So kind of both teams are in that bounce back spot. But to me, it just seems like it's because both teams just don't give a shit about preseason. You know what I mean? These are teams that are supposed to be contenders to win the Super Bowl, so I don't think they care about preseason. Like, they already know what their starting lineups are going to look like. You know what I mean? They don't really have to. The only thing they have to figure out is who's going to make the team, like, at the bottom of the roster. So whatever. But, yeah, maybe a slight lean towards Kansas City here. The game is in Arrowhead. The fact that Kansas City's trying out Nussmeier here might be better than Seattle trying out Milroe, but I have no idea, man. Cincinnati and Philadelphia. That game's on ESPN Unlimited, and so is the New Orleans-Dallas game. CBS National TV has Cincinnati and Philly. I don't know if you're going to really see the starters here in this one, though. Phillies 0-2 in the preseason. Not really doing a whole lot here, I don't think. Cincinnati, Cincinnati usually doesn't do well in preseason either. They're 2-0, though. They've actually won both of their games. That has me kind of maybe leaning towards Philly, even though I wound up kind of leaning towards Dallas in the other game. We have a 2-0 team against the 0-2. I kind of like the 2-0 team there, just because of the quarterback rotation they're throwing out there. Cincinnati, though, I mean, to me, it doesn't look like they're really going to be. I mean, look at their backups, Flacco and Josh Johnson. They don't need to see anything from those guys. Those guys have been around for forever. They're both like 40-plus years old. We know exactly who they are. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't need to see anything from those guys. And then maybe they'll try out Sean Clifford here. I don't know. I don't think Burrow's going to really be out there. So I don't like Cincinnati's quarterback rotation here in this one. Philadelphia, I don't know if Hurts has played in the preseason, but he's probably not going to be out there. Andy Dalton, I mean, he's a guy that's been around for forever, too, so they don't need to see much from him. They might try out more of Tanner McKee, who's younger and has been one of their backups for a while, but they kind of know who he is at this point, too, so I don't know. And then Cole Payton, I don't know what's going to go on with him. But, yeah, I probably do slightly lean Philly here, and the money is indicating that way. 54% of tickets on Cincy, 78% of the cash on Philly. I kind of like it. I mean, the 0-2 team against the 2-0 team. Cincinnati's QB rotation, very experienced, but they don't need to see anything out of those guys, you know. So -2.5 maybe for Philly, although you don't really need to see anything out of Andy Dalton either, the Red Rocket. I think this is an under game as well. The total did already drop through that key number of 37, though, so if you want that under, you've already missed that best number there. And the money is kind of backing the over. 71% of tickets, 94% of the cash on the over. But I would lean under in that one. I don't think either team's going to do a whole lot with those offenses there. And then NFL Network has the late game as well to finish off the doubleheader. They have the earliest game and the latest game. Minnesota at Denver is this game. Minnesota, they're 1-1 in preseason. They played two really low-scoring games here. I don't think you're really going to see Kyler Murray. They've announced him as the starter. J.J. McCarthy might be hurt, so I don't know how much you're going to see out of him, but I don't think he's that good anyway, man. And then behind him, Wentz has been around for forever. I mean, if he's going to be out there, it's going to be very vanilla, I would imagine. Probably a lot of this has to do with, the fact that they've played low-scoring games makes a lot of sense, given who their quarterbacks are. And Max Brosmer, he's bad. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it looks like Minnesota's not going to be doing a lot offensively here. Denver, I don't know if Bo Nix has been out there at all. They've been using Jarrett Stidham a lot. I don't think they need to see much out of him, though, because he's been around for a while. They know what they have with him. And Sam Ellinger, whatever the hell his name is, I don't think they really need to see much out of him either. They kind of know what they're getting. So this game to me also seems like an under. This total is on that key number of 37.5, and it has dropped from 39.5, but you're still on that key number at 37.5. So I kind of like the under here. 59% of tickets, 91% of the cash on the over, though. Money indicating towards the over here. The line has dropped a little bit on Denver as a favorite. They're -3.5. Denver does try to win in preseason. Sean Payton tries to win in preseason, and the money is coming in that way. 66% of tickets, 95% of the cash on Denver. Maybe that is the right way to look. I mean, Minnesota's going to have to go into elevation for this one, which may not be that easy for them. And Sean Payton, again, is more likely to try to win this game than I think Kevin O'Connell is. So maybe Denver makes sense too, but probably my preference would be the under. And that's it. That's the show. Way too long of a show today. Too much fucking preseason, man. We have three plays, two in baseball. We have the Mets on the money line. These are both full game plays. Pittsburgh Pirates money line. Both pretty good prices there, I think. And then we're also trying it out with the WNBA, man. Still, we got to get some more money back in the WNBA. We're taking Portland plus the 12.5 in the WNBA. It's entirely a fade of Atlanta in a bad spot, though. That's going to do it. Learn It's On Twitter. Learn It's On Instagram. Like, subscribe to the channel here. You'll get notified when I go live. College football, FBS football officially starts tomorrow with about 6 or 7 games. I don't know if I'm going to have a play. I've had to play each of the last 2 years. Last year, K-State, I think, was kind of still the right side in that Dublin game, and they wound up losing. And I had to play in the Dublin game the year before that, too. And it was a nice win with Georgia Tech against Florida State. So that one was a good, big underdog outright win on that one. So those are the ones I remember. I don't know if I don't like the Dublin game this year. Well, I don't know. We'll see. It's the Belichick game. So I don't know, man. It is a revenge game for them, kind of. I don't know. I got to break it down and we'll see. But subscribe and you'll get notified when I go live. I might do the college football show tonight just to get that off the plate, and then I could just focus on baseball or whatever for the morning show. We'll see. But this is that crossover time period where there's just way too much to do. And the extended college football weeks and NFL weeks that are coming, those shows are going to be the night before because that's how I usually do it. Although hopefully the lines are still good enough, but those are such public sports that usually the lines are good enough, except in those smaller college football conferences where you might have missed out on some of the better numbers. And it screwed us on one play last year that should have been a winner with, it was one of the MAC teams. It was a MAC game. I think I forget. It might have been a MAC team against a non-MAC team. I forget what it was, but I don't know. It was some bullshit. Anyway, and the better number would have still hit for us, but we still should have won that game, and the team blew it. I think it was, I want to say it was Miami, Ohio against somebody. I forget. Anyway, like, subscribe, and get all the good content here. And, leave comments, tell people about it, hype, whatever. We're on audio, Apple, Spotify, Spreaker. Covered in Uke is my ukulele channel on YouTube. You can check that out. Patreon.com/LearnToToad if you want to support me that way. What else do we have? Losercast every Tuesday night and the New York Giants G-Spot podcast. Got to figure out what we're doing with that, but that's going to do it. I appreciate everybody. Happy Friday. Let's kick off the weekend right. I'll probably see you guys tonight with a bit of a short college football show, but we'll talk about all those games. It's not too many games. And like I said, once we get to the full slates, I'm not talking about every game. It's just impossible to do that, obviously, but I will talk about all the big games. That's going to do it. Peace.
If the dark starts talking, hand me the phone. Let somebody answer, let somebody know. You do not have to lose this round alone. Hold on, not tonight, not now. You're still here.